You found the Stealth Podcast. Tonight, we'll travel through dark and lonely stories. Where in the world are you watching from? What time is it there? Subscribe and leave your like to support us. Let's begin. My name is Lucas Brenner, and I'm 34 years old. I live in Chicago, but I've always been drawn to the open road. 3 years ago, I converted an old Ford Transit into my dream home on wheels, complete with a small kitchen, a surprisingly comfortable bed, and enough storage for all my camera gear. As a freelance photographer, I can work from anywhere, so I decided to head north to capture Ontario's fall colors. My best friend, Mitch, thought I was crazy. "You're going to Canada? In October? It's already getting cold up there," he warned when I told him about my plans over beers. But I'd been following this travel blogger, Elise Winters, who'd posted breathtaking shots of Algonquin Provincial Park's maple forests ablaze in crimson and gold. The images had haunted me for weeks. I needed to see it for myself. The border crossing was easier than I expected, and soon I was cruising along the Trans-Canada Highway, windows down despite the chill, breathing in air that smelled like pine and promise. My van, which I'd affectionately named Wanderer, hummed contentedly beneath me. After the congestion of Chicago, the open roads felt like freedom. I'd been on the road for 3 days when I stopped for gas at a small station just outside Thunder Bay. That's where I met Ryan and Chloe Phillips, a couple around my age who were also traveling in a converted van. There's a sleek black Mercedes Sprinter that made my Wanderer look like a humble cousin. They were friendly, almost too friendly, complimenting my van's setup and asking detailed questions about my route. "We're heading to a secret spot in Algonquin," Ryan said, his smile not quite reaching his eyes. "Amazing views, totally off-grid. No rangers, no tourists." He hesitated, then added, "You should join us. We know a back way in where no one will bother us." Something about Ryan's intensity made me uneasy, but Chloe seemed genuinely warm. She showed me photos on her phone of a pristine lake surrounded by trees of flame with autumn colors. Exactly the kind of shots I'd been dreaming of capturing. "It's even better in person," she promised, her blue eyes wide and sincere. "We're meeting some friends there tomorrow night." I wasn't planning on making friends on this trip, but the prospect of accessing an off-the-beaten-path location with guaranteed spectacular views was too tempting to pass up. Plus, there was safety in numbers, right? I agreed to follow them, exchanging phone numbers so we could coordinate. That night, parked at a rest stop, I researched Algonquin more thoroughly, plotting my own route just in case I decided to ditch my new acquaintances. The next morning, I woke to a text from Ryan with coordinates and a cryptic message. "Follow these exactly. Don't tell anyone where you're going." A chill ran through me that had nothing to do with the October air. I almost backed out then, but when I looked at my planned route and the mediocre shots I'd get from official viewpoints, I convinced myself I was being paranoid. What's the worst that could happen with other people around? I followed Ryan and Chloe's black Sprinter for hours, winding deeper into Ontario's wilderness on increasingly narrow roads. The GPS signal flickered in and out as we left the main highways behind. Massive pines crowded the edges of the dirt road, their shadows stretching across our path like grasping fingers. I tried calling Mitch to let him know where I was headed, but my phone showed no service. Typical. The first real warning sign came when Ryan led us past a chain-link fence with a faded, "No trespassing" sign. My stomach tightened. This definitely wasn't an official park entrance. When I flashed my headlights, signaling them to stop, they just accelerated. I hesitated at the fence line. I could turn back now, stick to my original plan. But those photos Chloe had shown me kept flashing in my mind. I'd come all this way. And really, what was the worst that could happen? Just some trespassing charges if we got caught? As dusk settled, we finally reached a clearing beside a lake that mirrored the one from Chloe's photos. The autumn foliage created a riot of color even in the fading light. 3 other vehicles were already parked in a loose semicircle, 2 more vans, and a mud-splattered pickup truck. I counted 5 people gathered around a campfire, their faces illuminated by dancing flames. They all turned to look as we pulled in, their expressions unreadable in the growing darkness. "You made it." Chloe bounded over as I stepped out of Wanderer, her enthusiasm seeming genuine enough to ease my concerns. She introduced me to the others, a bearded man named Dom who owned the pickup, a quiet couple called Vince and Taylor with a vintage VW bus, and a tall, tattooed woman named Sarah with a converted ambulance. They all had the same intense interest in my setup, my camera gear, my travel plans. While helping set up camp, I noticed strange markings carved into some of the trees, symbols I didn't recognize, geometric patterns that seemed deliberately placed. When I asked Dom about them, he laughed. "Just trail markers," he said dismissively, but exchanged a glance with Ryan that made my skin crawl. The conversation around the campfire felt scripted, as if they'd rehearsed their questions. Where was I from? Did anyone know I was here? Was I active on social media? Had I posted my location? That night, I couldn't sleep. Something about the way they all watched me made my instincts scream. Around 2 a.m., I heard whispering outside my van. Peering through a crack in my blackout curtains, I saw Ryan, Dom, and Sarah standing in a tight circle, their faces serious in the moonlight. "He's perfect," I heard Sarah say. "Exactly what we need." I couldn't make out Ryan's response, but their body language was clear. This wasn't a casual camping trip. By morning, I decided to leave. I made excuses about needing cell service for a work deadline and began packing up, trying to appear casual. That's when I noticed my van's front tires were flat, both of them, which seemed too coincidental. And when I checked under the hood, my heart nearly stopped. Several wires had been disconnected from the engine. Nothing permanently damaging, just enough to ensure I couldn't leave quickly. Problem: Ryan appeared beside me, making me jump. His smile didn't reach his eyes. "Good thing Dom's a mechanic. He can help you out after breakfast. Chloe's making pancakes." He clapped me on the shoulder, his grip lingering just a moment too long. "Don't worry," he said with a wink. "We take care of our friends here." The pancakes tasted strange, slightly bitter beneath the maple syrup. I only took a few bites before claiming I wasn't hungry, but even that small amount made my head feel fuzzy within minutes. The others watched me closely, their expressions a mixture of anticipation and something darker. When I stood up, the world tilted sideways. I stumbled back toward my van, desperate to lock myself inside. "Need some help there, buddy?" Dom's voice sounded distant, though he was right beside me, his hand gripping my elbow with unnecessary force. I tried to pull away, but my limbs weren't cooperating. Through increasingly blurry vision, I saw Chloe smiling apologetically as she held open my van door. "Sorry about this, Lucas. It's really nothing personal." I woke up disoriented, my wrists bound to the steering wheel with zip ties. My camera gear was gone, along with my phone and wallet. Through the windshield, I could see it was now late afternoon. I'd been unconscious for hours. Outside, the group had grown. There were at least 10 people now, setting up what looked like some kind of altar near the lake's edge. A stone table draped with dark cloth, surrounded by those same strange symbols I'd noticed carved in the trees. As my mind cleared, terror settled in. This wasn't a random robbery. This was something organized, planned. Dom and Sarah were dragging a large wooden post toward the water's edge. Taylor was arranging candles in a circle while Vince unloaded bundles of herbs from a wooden chest. Ryan stood at the center of it all, consulting what looked like an ancient leather-bound book, his finger tracing lines of text as he gave instructions. A sharp tap on my window made me jump. Chloe stood there, her previously warm smile now cold and calculating. "He's awake," she called over her shoulder. She opened the driver's door, leaning in close. The others wanted to use someone local, but outsiders work better. "No connections here, no one looking for you." "Perfect." Her voice was matter of fact, as if discussing the weather rather than my apparent value as a sacrifice. What followed was a nightmare of whispered chants and preparations as dusk approached. They left me bound in the van, occasionally checking to ensure I hadn't freed myself. From fragments of conversation, I pieced together their plan. This wasn't just some backwoods cult. They were vanlifers like me, travelers who'd formed a dark fellowship, drawing power from rituals performed at power nodes across the country. They spoke of previous offerings at sites in Arizona, Montana, and Maine. I was to be their Canadian sacrifice. "The barrier between worlds thins here," Ryan explained when he came to check on me, seemingly pleased to have an audience for his madness. "This lake, it's not on most maps for a reason. The First Nations people avoided it for centuries. But we found it, and we found what sleeps beneath." His eyes gleamed with fervent belief. "Tonight, we wake it, and it rewards us. Every offering makes us stronger, more successful. Haven't you noticed how perfect our lives seem online? How we always find the best spots, have the best luck? As darkness fell completely, they came for me. 6 of them, moving with practiced efficiency. They cut the zip ties only to replace them with rope, binding my hands behind my back. They marched me toward the stone altar, now illuminated by dozens of candles. The lake water lapped unnaturally against the shore, though there was no wind. The surface seemed to bubble in places, as if something beneath was responding to their chants. Please, I begged as they forced me to kneel before the altar. You don't have to do this. I won't tell anyone, I swear. But my pleas fell on deaf ears. Ryan stood before me, now dressed in an ornate robe, the ancient book open in his hands. As he began to read in a language I didn't recognize, the others joined hands around me, forming a human circle. The water behind them churned more violently, and I could swear I saw something massive moving beneath the surface. Adrenaline finally cut through my remaining grogginess. As Ryan lifted a ceremonial dagger, its blade catching the moonlight, I made my move. I lunged forward, headbutting him directly in the stomach. He doubled over, dropping both the book and the knife. Chaos erupted as I scrambled to my feet, hands still bound behind me, and ran for the tree line. Shouted commands and pounding footsteps followed close behind. Running through a forest at night with your hands tied behind your back is virtually impossible. I crashed through underbrush, tripping over roots and fallen branches, the sounds of pursuit growing closer. My only advantage was my familiarity with night hiking. I'd spent countless evenings photographing stars, learning to let my eyes adjust naturally without flashlights. My pursuers, meanwhile, were using their phone lights, making their positions easy to track. He's heading east, I heard Dom shout, followed by Chloe's response. Cut him off at the ridge. They knew these woods far better than I did. My only hope was to find a main road or another campsite with normal people who might help. But in this remote area, that seemed increasingly unlikely. Still, I pushed on, ignoring the branches that whipped my face and the rocks that bruised my feet through my thin sneakers. After what felt like hours, but was probably only 20 minutes, I stumbled upon an unexpected stroke of luck, an old ranger station, long abandoned but still standing. Desperately, I maneuvered my bound hands against a broken window frame, sawing the rope against the jagged glass. The cutting was agonizingly slow, and I could hear voices approaching from multiple directions. Blood ran down my wrists as the glass sliced my skin along with the ropes, but finally, my hands came free. Inside the station, I found a rusty fire axe mounted on the wall, the first weapon I'd seen since my knife had been taken. I gripped it with bleeding hands just as the beam of a flashlight swept across the cabin's front window. I ducked down, pressing myself against the wall beside the door. When it creaked open and Vince stepped through, I swung the axe handle, not the blade. I wasn't a killer, as hard as I could, connecting with his temple. He dropped like a stone. The walkie-talkie on Vince's belt crackled to life. Anyone found him yet? Ryan's voice, tense and angry. I grabbed the device and Vince's flashlight, then slipped back out into the darkness. My only chance was to circle back to the campsite and steal one of their vehicles. At least Wanderer was disabled. They couldn't use it to pursue me if I managed to take one of their vans. Dawn was breaking as I finally spotted the clearing again, approaching from the opposite side of the lake. Most of the group was still searching the woods, but Chloe and an older man I hadn't seen before were guarding the vehicles. I watched from the bushes, calculating my options. Dom's pickup was parked farthest from them, its keys possibly still in the ignition like many rural drivers tend to leave them. I created a distraction by turning on Vince's walkie-talkie to full volume and throwing it far to my right. When it crackled loudly with Ryan demanding updates, Chloe and the man both turned toward the sound. I used those precious seconds to sprint for the pickup, yanking open the door, thankfully unlocked, and finding the keys dangling from the ignition. The engine roared to life, and I slammed it into reverse just as Chloe started running toward me, her face contorted with rage. Tires spinning on damp earth, I swung the truck around and floored it toward the makeshift road we'd come in on. In the rearview mirror, I saw Ryan and several others emerging from the trees, alerted by the engine noise. Someone, it looked like Sarah, raised what appeared to be a rifle. A sharp crack split the air, and my side mirror exploded. I ducked down, swerving wildly as I accelerated away from the nightmare I'd nearly become part of. The truck's gas gauge showed nearly empty as I finally reached the main highway. My hands trembled on the steering wheel, blood still seeping from the cuts on my wrists. Every set of headlights made me flinch, certain that Ryan and his cult had somehow gotten ahead of me. I had no phone, no wallet, no ID, just a stolen pickup truck that would surely be reported missing soon. I drove until the truck sputtered to a stop, coasting into a small gas station outside Sault Ste. Marie. The attendant looked up suspiciously as I stumbled in, wild-eyed and bloodied. "Phone," I gasped. "Please, I need to use a phone." She hesitated, then pointed to an old payphone outside. I thanked her and hurried out, realizing too late I had no coins. When I turned back to ask for change, she had already locked the door and was speaking urgently into her own phone. I couldn't blame her. I looked exactly like someone she should call the police about. Knowing authorities would arrive soon, I hid behind the building, watching the road for any sign of familiar vehicles. My mind raced through options. I could tell the police everything, but without evidence, it would sound like a paranoid delusion. My van was still at that clearing, but I had no way to prove I hadn't simply abandoned it after stealing Dom's truck. And what if some of these people were connected locally? Ryan had mentioned powerful friends during his ranting. When the police cruiser pulled up, I made a split-second decision that would haunt me forever. Instead of approaching them, I ran, pushing through a gap in the fence behind the station and disappearing into the woods again. The rational part of me knew this was making everything worse, but terror had overridden reason. All I could think about was putting distance between myself and anyone who might take me back to that lake. For 3 days, I traveled on foot, stealing food from backyards, sleeping in sheds, or under bridges. I avoided main roads and security cameras, moving primarily at night. My wrists became infected, fever setting in as I pushed my body beyond its limits. By the time I stumbled onto the property of an elderly couple outside North Bay, I was delirious, barely conscious as they found me collapsed in their garden. The Morgans, Dave and Helen, saved my life. They didn't call the authorities immediately, despite my wild story. Helen, a retired nurse, treated my wounds while Dave made inquiries about missing persons reports. What they discovered chilled me to the bone. There was indeed a report filed, but not for me. According to local news, I was the suspect in the disappearance of 6 Vanlifers who had been camping in Algonquin Park. Their abandoned vehicles had been found near a lake, with signs of struggle and my fingerprints everywhere. The news reports included photos of Ryan, Chloe, Dom, and the others, all described as nature enthusiasts and social media influencers who had disappeared during a friendly gathering. My van was there too, containing my ID and, most damningly, a journal with disturbing writings about sacrifice and ancient rituals that I had never seen before. The journal was filled with the same symbols I'd seen carved into the trees. They had framed me completely, creating a narrative I could never disprove. Dave showed me online memorials already springing up for the victims. Their social media accounts, all with thousands of followers I hadn't known about, were filled with beautiful travel photos and, more recently, excited posts about meeting up with fellow Vanlifers in Ontario. Not one image or word hinted at their true nature. Their final posts, dated the day after my escape, showed them smiling at the lakeside, with Wanderer visible in the background. "Made a new friend today," Chloe had written. "Can't wait to show Lucas all our favorite spots." I realized then the true horror of my situation. These people were not just a random cult. They were organized, methodical, and had been doing this for years. They traveled across North America, finding remote, power nodes and lonely travelers to sacrifice. Then they simply moved on, their victims forever missing, while they gained whatever dark power they believed these rituals provided. And now, I was their fall guy, the deranged killer who had supposedly harmed these beloved social media personalities. The Morgans helped me change my appearance and provided me with enough cash to make it to the US border, where an old friend of Dave's helped me cross without documentation. I've been moving ever since, staying in hostels or cheap motels, working cash jobs under fake names. I never stay anywhere more than a few weeks. Sometimes I see their faces on missing persons websites, their smiling photos bearing no resemblance to the monsters I encountered. Occasionally, a new name joins their list, another victim of the crazed killer still at large. I know they're still out there, still finding secluded spots and vulnerable travelers, still performing their rituals under the guise of innocent gatherings. And I know that someday, somewhere, I'll see a black Mercedes Sprinter van parked at a remote trailhead or a deserted beach, and I'll have to decide, do I run again? Or do I finally find a way to expose the truth about what waits for unlucky travelers in the Ontario wilderness? My name is Harper Wilson, and I'm 29 years old. I live in Seattle, where until recently I worked as a software developer for a tech startup. When the company went under 6 months ago, I took it as a sign to finally pursue my dream, living on the road. I used my severance package to buy and convert a 2015 Ram ProMaster, outfitting it with solar panels, a compact kitchen, and a cozy sleeping area. I named her Liberty because that's exactly what she represented to me. I'd been traveling for 3 months, making my way across the northern United States when I decided to venture into Canada. Ontario's vast wilderness seemed like the perfect place to test my newfound independence and get some stunning drone footage for my fledgling YouTube channel. Crossing the border near Sault Ste. Marie was simple enough, and I found myself energized by the endless forests and pristine lakes that stretched before me. The first week in Ontario was everything I'd hoped for. I stayed at provincial parks, met friendly locals, and captured breathtaking footage of sunsets over Lake Superior. It wasn't until I reached the small town of Wawa that things began to change. I was parked at a local coffee shop, uploading videos using their Wi-Fi, when a mud-splattered pickup truck pulled in beside me. The driver, a burly man with a weathered face who introduced himself as Garrett, immediately took interest in my van. "Nice setup you got there," he said, peering through my partially open door. "You traveling alone?" Something in his tone made me hesitate before answering, but I reminded myself not to be paranoid. Most vanlifers I'd met were genuinely curious about others' builds. I nodded, keeping my response vague, mentioning I was meeting friends in Thunder Bay soon, a lie, but a prudent one. Garrett's demeanor shifted when he spotted my drone case. "You film a lot around here?" he asked, his casual tone feeling forced. When I showed him some of my aerial footage, his eyes narrowed at a particular shot of an old logging road leading deep into the forest. Where exactly was this taken? The question seemed loaded somehow, his interest too keen. I made up a location, claiming it was closer to the Michigan border. Our conversation was interrupted by the arrival of Garrett's companion, a thin woman with sharp features who he introduced simply as Lex. She whispered something in his ear, glancing repeatedly at my laptop screen where my map application was still open. Their exchange was brief but tense. Before leaving, Garrett handed me a hand-drawn map. "If you want real views, check out this spot. Old mining area. No tourists, great drone shots." His smile didn't reach his eyes. "Cell service is spotty though, not for the faint of heart." That night, parked at a designated rest area, I studied Garrett's map. The location he'd marked was indeed remote, at least 30 miles from the nearest town down unmarked forest roads. While the photographer in me was intrigued, my instincts were screaming caution. I decided to research the area before making any decisions. Using the weak cell signal, I searched for information about abandoned mines near Wawa. What I found sent chills down my spine. Several hikers and solo travelers had gone missing in that general region over the past 5 years. The cases were officially unsolved, with authorities blaming treacherous terrain and wildlife encounters. But in online forums, locals whispered about other possibilities: territorial marijuana growers, traffickers using remote routes into the US, or even more sinister activities. One post specifically mentioned strangers offering directions to special locations as a red flag. I closed my laptop, suddenly aware of how vulnerable I was, alone in a parking lot with night falling around me. I was contemplating my next move when a sharp knock on my van door made me nearly jump out of my skin. Through the window, I saw Alexa's angular face illuminated by the harsh beam of a flashlight. Behind her stood 3 men I didn't recognize. "Just checking you found the spot okay," she called through the door, though I hadn't told her or Garrett where I was staying. "We're heading out there tonight, if you want to follow us. Safety in numbers, right?" I didn't open the door. Instead, I called through it that I'd changed my plans and was heading east in the morning, not north toward their suggested location. There was a long pause before Lex responded, her tone noticeably cooler. "Suit yourself. Lot of bears in these woods, though. Shame to miss the opportunity." The implied threat wasn't subtle. As their footsteps receded, I peeked through my blackout curtains to see them conferring by the pickup truck, occasionally glancing back at my van. My heart raced as I considered my options. The rest area had only one entrance, which they were now blocking with their vehicle. I couldn't risk driving past them. If they were as dangerous as I feared, they might follow, or worse. The rest area backed onto dense forest, which offered concealment but also danger if I tried to flee on foot. I settled on a third option, appearing to comply while planning my escape. I opened my door and called out to them with forced cheerfulness. "Actually, you know what? The mines sound interesting after all. Give me 10 minutes to pack up." Their postures relaxed visibly. Garrett nodded, raising a hand in acknowledgement before turning back to his companions. As soon as my door closed, I moved with quiet urgency, gathering only essential items into my backpack: wallet, passport, phone, power bank, water, energy bars, and my drone. Not for filming, but because it contained an emergency beacon. While pretending to prepare my van for travel, I slipped out my rear doors during a moment when they were all looking at something on one of their phones. The darkness swallowed me as I crept into the forest, moving as silently as years of hiking had taught me. Once I felt I was safely hidden among the trees, I activated my drone's emergency beacon, a feature I'd never expected to use. Then I settled in to wait, watching the rest area through breaks in the foliage. Their reaction to my disappearance confirmed my worst fears. Within 20 minutes, they realized I was gone, and their search became frantic, then methodical. Flashlight beams swept the perimeter as they called out with false concern, claiming they just wanted to make sure I was safe. When that yielded nothing, their true colors emerged. "Spread out and find her," Garrett barked. "She couldn't have gone far, and she has that drone footage." The way he emphasized the last part made my blood run cold. What had I accidentally captured? I remained hidden for hours, mosquitoes feasting on every inch of exposed skin, as they searched increasingly wider circles from the rest area. Around 3 a.m., they finally gave up, but not before Garrett did something that confirmed this was no casual interest in a fellow traveler. He broke into my van. From my vantage point, I watched helplessly as they ransacked Liberty, taking my laptop and external hard drives. Before leaving, Garrett slashed my tires, ensuring I couldn't easily follow or escape. Dawn found me cold, exhausted, and facing a 12-mile hike to the nearest town. My emergency beacon had apparently failed. No rescue had arrived. As I began walking along the highway, thumb out whenever a vehicle approached, I replayed my drone footage in my mind. What had I captured that was worth threatening me over? The old logging road had seemed abandoned, just another relic of Ontario's forestry history. But now I wondered what might lie deeper along that path, hidden from casual observers. The first few cars sped past without stopping. A lone woman hitchhiking isn't exactly a safe bet for drivers either. Finally, an elderly couple in an RV pulled over. Martha and Ed Williams were traveling across Canada for their 50th anniversary and were happy to have company. As we drove toward Wawa, I crafted a sanitized version of my predicament. Vandals had damaged my van while I was hiking, and I needed to contact authorities. The Williams were sympathetic, offering to wait with me at the police station. The Ontario Provincial Police Detachment in Wawa was small, staffed by just 2 officers when we arrived. Constable Patel listened to my story with professional interest, but I could tell he was skeptical. Travelers' vehicles were occasionally vandalized, but targeted break-ins were uncommon. When I mentioned Garrett and his friends, his expression changed subtly. "Can you describe this man again?" he asked, pulling out a folder. He showed me several photographs, and my stomach dropped when I recognized not only Garrett, but also one of his companions from the previous night. "These men are persons of interest in several cases," Constable Patel explained carefully. "Nothing proven, but they've been questioned about certain activities in the region." He wouldn't elaborate further, but his increased urgency was clear. He arranged for a patrol car to accompany a tow truck to recover my van and suggested I find accommodation in town while they investigated. "Don't mention this conversation to anyone locally," he advised as I left. Wawa's a small place. People talk. The Williams insisted I stay with them at the local RV park, their kindness a sharp contrast to the previous night's menace. As we settled in for dinner in their comfortable motorhome, Ed turned on the local news. The lead story made my fork clatter to my plate. A massive police operation was underway at an abandoned mine north of Wawa, with reports of multiple arrests related to a criminal enterprise. The reporter stood at a roadblock, behind her the very logging road I had captured with my drone. I didn't sleep that night, my mind racing with the implications of what I'd stumbled upon. By morning, more details had emerged on the news. The police had discovered a large illegal operation at the abandoned mine, not drugs as I'd initially suspected, but something potentially more sinister. They mentioned human trafficking and forced labor, with victims being transported through remote areas to avoid detection. My innocent drone flight had apparently captured evidence of their transportation route. Constable Patel called mid-morning, his tone grave. "We've recovered your van, but there's a complication. Your belongings were found in a suspect's vehicle, which establishes you as a material witness." He explained that Garrett and 2 others had been arrested, but at least 2 suspects remained at large, including Lex. "We have reason to believe they know your identity from your documents and may attempt to silence you before the case goes to trial." The next hours passed in a blur of police statements and growing fear. My van was impounded as evidence, and the OPP offered limited protection. A patrol car would drive by my location periodically, but they lacked resources for constant surveillance. The Williams, bless their hearts, insisted I continue traveling with them, arguing I'd be safer on the move than staying in Wawa where Garrett's associates might find me. We left town that afternoon, heading east towards Sudbury where I could catch a bus back to the border. The police had returned my drone but kept my laptop and hard drives as evidence. I felt naked without my digital life and home on wheels, reduced to a backpack of possessions and the growing weight of paranoia. Every vehicle that followed us for more than a few minutes sent my heart racing. Every stop for gas or food became an exercise in hypervigilance, scanning faces and vehicles for signs of pursuit. The RV park outside Chapleau seemed safe enough, well lit, moderately occupied, with a gatehouse at the entrance. I helped Martha prepare dinner while Ed chatted with neighboring campers. The normalcy was almost jarring after the past 2 days. As night fell, exhaustion finally overcame anxiety, and I fell into a deep sleep on the RV's convertible dinette bed. It was the sound of breaking glass that woke me, a sharp, unmistakable crash from the front of the vehicle. Ed was already on his feet, fumbling for his glasses, as Martha whispered frantically into her phone, summoning emergency services. Through the RV's windows, I could see flashlight beams circling the vehicle. At least 3 people, moving with purpose. A woman's voice, Lex, called out with chilling calm. "We just want the drone and any copies of the footage. Give those up and no one gets hurt." The casual way she made this threat, as if requesting to borrow a cup of sugar, was somehow more terrifying than rage would have been. Panic surged through me as I realized I'd brought danger to this kind, elderly couple. While Martha continued her whispered call, Ed quietly opened a storage compartment, removing a shotgun I hadn't known they possessed. "Traveled these roads for 50 years, he murmured, loading shells with practiced ease. "Never needed this before, but always kept it just in case." He positioned himself near the door while motioning for us to move to the back of the RV. The first attempt to force the door failed. Ed had engaged multiple locks after hearing about my situation. The second attempt was more determined, the door frame splintering under concentrated pressure. Ed fired a warning shot through the window, the blast deafeningly loud in the confined space. "I've called the police," he shouted, "and I've got plenty more shells." Outside, there was momentary retreat, followed by hurried consultation. Then the true terror began. "You've got 5 minutes to send out the girl and the drone," Lex called. Her voice hardened. "Or we start using the accelerant." The unmistakable odor of gasoline drifted through the broken window, and I saw a liquid being splashed against the sides of the RV. They were going to burn us out. Martha's face went ashen as she whispered, "The propane tanks." The RV would become a bomb if the fire reached them. Ed's resolve never wavered. He handed me his personal cell phone with the screen unlocked. "Get in the bathroom, lock the door. There's a roof vent. When you hear me start shooting, push it open and climb out. Drop to the ground on the far side away from them and run for those woods." He pointed through the rear window to a dense tree line about 50 yards behind our parking spot. "Don't stop for anything. The police have my phone's location. They'll find you." The next moments stretched into eternity as I huddled in the small bathroom, drone clutched to my chest, listening to Ed's calm negotiations through the door. He was buying time, asking questions, making counteroffers. Martha joined me, squeezing into the tiny space, her hands steady as she helped me remove the vent screen. When the first real gunshot came, not Ed's warning blast, but a sharp crack from outside, we both flinched. Ed returned fire immediately, the shotgun's roar followed by shouts and confusion. "Now," Martha urged, boosting me toward the opening. I shoved the drone through first, then pulled myself up and out, the metal edge of the vent slicing my palms. The RV's roof was slippery with dew, and I nearly fell before getting my balance. Behind me, Martha struggled to follow, her movements limited by age and arthritis. "Go," she insisted when I tried to help her. "We'll be right behind you." It was a lie we both recognized. She couldn't make the climb, and we both knew it. The drop from the RV roof felt endless, the impact jarring every bone when I finally hit the ground. I rolled as I landed, as I'd learned in a long-ago gymnastics class, coming up running toward the tree line. Behind me, the gunfire had stopped, an even more terrifying development. The only sounds were my own ragged breathing and footsteps pounding on damp grass. I didn't dare look back, focusing only on the dark sanctuary of the forest ahead. I had almost reached the trees when headlights suddenly illuminated the field, a vehicle tearing around the side of the RV park. They'd anticipated my escape route. Veering sharply left, I abandoned my path to the woods and instead ran toward a cluster of other campers, hoping to find help or at least witnesses who would make my pursuers hesitate. Most RVs were dark, their occupants either asleep or wisely staying hidden after the gunshots. But one site showed signs of life, a campfire still glowing and the silhouette of someone standing beside it. "Help!" I gasped, stumbling into the circle of firelight. "They're trying to kill me." The figure turned, revealing a young man with startled eyes and a can of beer in his hand. Behind him, a tent glowed from an interior light, another person visible as a shadow against the fabric. Before the man could respond, the pursuing vehicle skidded to a stop at the edge of his campsite, doors flying open. I recognized one of Garrett's friends from the rest area, his face contorted with rage. In his hand gleamed the unmistakable shape of a hunting knife. "This doesn't concern you," he snarled at the camper. "Walk away now." The young man, to his eternal credit, didn't move. Instead, he reached slowly behind him, producing a large flashlight which he switched on, the powerful beam momentarily blinding our pursuers. "My partner's already called the cops," he said, voice remarkably steady. "And I've got your faces and license plate on video." He gestured toward the tent, where I now noticed a phone propped up on a chair, its camera facing us. The standoff lasted only seconds before the pursuers decided the risk was too great. They retreated to their vehicle, but the driver rolled down his window as they prepared to leave. "This isn't over," he called to me. "We have your ID, your plates, your whole digital life. Nowhere to run, nowhere to hide." The threat hung in the air as they sped away, tires spitting gravel. My saviors introduced themselves as Kai and Tessa, outdoor enthusiasts on a camping trip from Toronto. They were horrified by my story and the night's events, offering their tent and reassurance while we waited for authorities to arrive. Tessa, a nurse, bandaged my bleeding hands while Kai kept watch, a heavy walking stick now gripped tightly. I was in the middle of explaining about the drone footage when multiple sirens cut through the night, red and blue lights painting the trees as several police vehicles converged on the RV park. The scene at the Williams RV was devastating. The vehicle was partially burned, one side blackened by flames that had been extinguished before reaching the propane tanks. Ed was being loaded into an ambulance, a gunshot wound to his shoulder. Martha, physically unharmed but in shock, clutched his hand as paramedics worked. When she saw me, her relief was palpable. "You got away," she whispered as I approached. "Thank God." Despite my guilt at bringing this danger to them, Martha refused to accept my apologies. "We chose to help," she said firmly, "and we'd do it again." The police response was massive. Clearly, they'd connected this attack to the ongoing investigation of the trafficking ring. Constable Patel had traveled from Wawa to oversee the operation personally. He informed me that one suspect had been apprehended at the scene with burns and another arrested at a roadblock 5 miles away. However, Lex and at least one accomplice had escaped. They're desperate now, he warned. The organization is falling apart, and they blame your footage. You've become their primary target. Dawn broke as statements were taken and evidence collected. The Williams were transported to the hospital in Chapleau. Ed's condition serious, but stable. I sat in a police cruiser, wrapped in a shock blanket, the drone that had caused so much chaos still clutched in my lap. Patel approached with a decision I needed to make immediately. We can place you in witness protection until the trial, he explained. New identity, relocation, the works. Or we can try to keep you safe with conventional methods while you maintain your current life. The choice was agonizing. Witness protection meant saying goodbye to everything. My friends in Seattle, my online presence, my dreams of van life and travel documentation. But conventional methods had already failed once, nearly getting the Williams killed in the process. As I wrestled with the decision, my phone buzzed with a news alert. The trafficking investigation had expanded, with police in 3 provinces and 2 states coordinating raids. The preliminary count of victims rescued stood at 27, with more operations ongoing. 27 people. People who might still be captive if I hadn't accidentally flown my drone over that logging road. People with families who thought they were missing or dead. In that moment, my decision crystallized. I'll do witness protection, I told Patel. But first, I need to make sure the Williams are taken care of. And I want to be there when these people go to trial. They need to see my face when they're sentenced. Within hours, I was in a secure location, my phone and drone confiscated, replaced with clean devices that couldn't be traced. A victim services coordinator helped me compose a vague message to friends that I was taking time off-grid to explain my coming disappearance. My van would be sold, the proceeds held in trust until after the trial. My life as Harper Wilson was effectively over, suspended in digital amber until it was safe to reclaim it, if that day ever came. The hardest part was knowing I couldn't contact the Williams to check on Ed's recovery or properly thank them for their sacrifice. Patel promised to keep me updated on their condition, but direct communication was too risky. As I was driven to a safe house outside Toronto, watching familiar landscapes blur past the window, I mourned not just my interrupted journey, but also the innocence I'd lost. The open road no longer represented freedom, but danger. Every stranger was a potential threat. The vast Ontario wilderness that had once called to me now seemed filled with shadows and secrets. 3 months passed in a monotonous haze of safe houses and preparation for the upcoming trial. I became Jessica Palmer, a graphic designer working remotely, a cover identity complete with fabricated portfolio and social media presence. My natural brown hair was dyed blonde, cut into a style I would never have chosen. I wore glasses I didn't need and learned to respond to a name that still felt foreign on my tongue. The only constant companion from my previous life was the recurring nightmare of that night at the RV park, flames reflected in Lex's cold eyes as she circled the Williams vehicle. I received updates through my handler, Agent Reeves. Ed had recovered from his gunshot wound, but developed complications that would require ongoing care. The trafficking ring had extended far beyond Ontario, with connections to criminal networks across North America. 17 people had been charged, including Garrett, who was cooperating with authorities in exchange for sentencing considerations. But Lex remained at large, possibly having fled to South America, where the organization had connections. The pre-trial hearings began in Toronto under heavy security. I was transported in unmarked vehicles, using service entrances and back corridors to reach the courtroom where I would testify. The first time I saw Garrett in person again, handcuffed and wearing a prison jumpsuit, I expected to feel fear. Instead, I felt a cold rage at how his actions had destroyed so many lives, including my own. His eyes widened slightly when he saw my transformed appearance, recognition flickering despite my disguise. My testimony took 2 grueling days, during which defense attorneys tried to discredit my drone footage and account of events. They painted me as an irresponsible traveler who had violated privacy and trespassed on private property with my drone. They suggested I had imagined the threats, manufactured the danger to gain attention for my fledgling YouTube channel. Through it all, I maintained my composure, describing in clinical detail each interaction, each threat, each moment of terror. On the third day of hearings, as I was being escorted back to my safe house, Agent Reeves received an urgent call. Her expression shifted from professional detachment to barely contained alarm. "Change of plans," she told the driver, providing a new destination. To me, she said only, "There's been a development. We need to move you immediately." The car accelerated, taking a series of rapid turns designed to reveal any tale. We arrived at a secure government building where I was hurried to a conference room. There, surrounded by federal agents and prosecutors, I learned the development. Lex had been located, not in South America, but in a Toronto suburb less than 20 miles from the courthouse. More disturbing, intelligence suggested she had somehow discovered details about the security arrangements for witnesses in the case. "We have a leak," the lead prosecutor stated bluntly. "Until we identify it, no safe house is truly safe." The new plan was breathtaking in its calculated risk. Use me as bait to draw Lex out, while maintaining the illusion that I was unaware of the danger. I would be relocated to a less secure location, still protected, but with deliberate vulnerabilities that might tempt Lex to make her move. Every aspect would be monitored, every approach covered by tactical teams. I wasn't being asked permission so much as informed of my role in the operation. "And if I refuse?" I asked, already knowing the answer. The prosecutor exchanged glances with Agent Reeves. "Then we continue as before, but with the knowledge that she's actively hunting for you, with inside information, and will eventually find you anyway, potentially at a time and place of her choosing rather than ours." The choice was really no choice at all. At least this way, I had some agency in the nightmare. The vulnerable safe house was a lakeside cabin near Gravenhorst, remote enough to be isolated but accessible enough for Lex to find. I was visible from certain angles through windows, apparently alone except for a single guard who made a show of taking regular breaks, leaving the property to smoke cigarettes by the road. In reality, the cabin was wired with sensors and cameras, the surrounding woods populated with concealed officers. I wore a panic button disguised as a fitness tracker. The stage was set. 3 tense days passed with no sign of Lex. I settled into a routine designed to establish patterns an observer could track. Morning coffee on the deck, afternoon walks down a wooded path, evenings reading by the large picture window. Every moment felt like performing in a play where missing my mark could be fatal. On the 4th night, as I prepared for bed, the lights throughout the cabin suddenly went out. Emergency protocols dictated I should immediately move to the designated safe room, a bathroom with reinforced walls and no windows, and trigger my panic button. Instead, I froze, listening to the subtle sounds of the cabin settling around me. Something felt wrong about the timing, too obvious, too expected. Moving silently through the familiar darkness, I edged toward the kitchen rather than the bathroom, retrieving the knife I'd noticed earlier while preparing dinner. The guard should have responded to the power outage immediately, but there was no sound from his post near the front door. Had he been neutralized? Or was he the leak we'd been searching for? A floorboard creaked in the hallway leading to the bedrooms, someone moving with deliberate slowness. I pressed myself against the refrigerator, knife clutched in sweating palms. The security teams monitoring the cabin should be responding already, but I couldn't risk making noise to alert them if they somehow hadn't noticed the breach. As the footsteps drew nearer to the kitchen, I finally pressed the panic button, its silent alarm my last hope. The figure that appeared in the doorway was silhouetted by moonlight streaming through the windows, tall and lithe, with the unmistakable outline of a gun in one hand. "I know you're in here, Harper." Lex's voice sliced through the darkness. "Or Jessica, or whatever you're calling yourself these days. Did you really think changing your hair would make a difference? Did you think we wouldn't have people inside the protection program?" She moved further into the kitchen, sweeping her weapon in an arc before her. "The irony is, if you just kept driving that day in Wawa, you'd never have been in danger. It was the drone they wanted, not you, until you became a witness." I remained motionless, calculating the distance between us and my chances of reaching her before she could fire. Where was the tactical team? The panic button should have brought immediate response. Had the entire operation been compromised? Lex took another step forward, now close enough that I could see her face in the dim light. Calm, focused, almost clinically detached. "You've caused a lot of trouble," she continued conversationally. "Cost a lot of people a lot of money. The business took years to build. Garrett was a fool to get caught. but at least he kept his mouth shut about the bigger picture. Her casual reference to the business, the trafficking and exploitation of human beings, rekindled the rage I'd felt in the courtroom. This woman wasn't just trying to silence a witness. She was protecting an enterprise built on suffering. In that moment of clarity, I realized I couldn't wait for rescue. As Lex took another step, momentarily glancing toward the hallway where a sound had caught her attention, I lunged forward, driving the knife toward her gun hand. What followed was a chaotic blur of motion and pain. The knife connected, Lex screamed, the gun discharged into the ceiling. We grappled in the darkness, crashing against counters and cabinets. Despite my element of surprise, Lex was stronger and more experienced in violence. She slammed my wrist against the edge of the stove until the knife clattered to the floor, then wrapped her hands around my throat, driving me backward until my spine hit the refrigerator door. As spots danced before my eyes and my lungs burned for oxygen, I heard what Lex didn't: the subtle sounds of tactical teams breaching the cabin's perimeter. In her focus on silencing me, she had missed the approaching rescue. With my remaining strength, I drove my knee upward, connecting solidly with her stomach. Her grip loosened just enough for me to gasp one desperate word: kitchen. The next moments passed in strobing images, flashlights cutting through darkness, shouted commands, Lex being dragged backward by multiple officers. I collapsed to the floor, gulping air into abused lungs, as Agent Reeves appeared beside me, her usually composed face tight with concern. The guard, I managed to rasp. Unconscious, not complicit, she assured me. The leak was higher up. We've contained it. Later, I would learn that the delayed response had been deliberate. They needed Lex to fully commit to the attack to ensure charges would stick. The trial that followed made national headlines. 19 individuals eventually convicted, including law enforcement and government officials who had facilitated or ignored the trafficking operations. Sentences ranged from 10 years to life without parole. The network had been dismantled, its assets seized, its victims offered support and compensation. I testified against each defendant, including Lex, whose cold eyes never showed a flicker of remorse. When it was finally over, I faced another choice: remain Jessica Palmer indefinitely or reclaim a carefully modified version of my former identity. The risk assessment suggested that with the organization's leadership imprisoned and assets frozen, directed retaliation was unlikely. But returning to Harper Wilson meant acknowledging that my carefree van life dreams were forever altered. Liberty, my van, had long since been sold. My social media presence had been dormant for over a year. The person I had been seemed to exist only in increasingly distant memories. I chose a middle path. With financial assistance from victim compensation funds, I purchased a new van, smaller, less distinctive, and equipped it with enhanced security features and satellite communication capabilities. I changed my appearance again, not dramatically, but enough to create distance from both Harper and Jessica. Most importantly, I adjusted my relationship with the open road. No more posting real-time locations. No more boondocking in truly isolated areas. No more trusting strangers too quickly. Today, I still travel, but with purpose beyond personal freedom. I volunteer with organizations that raise awareness about trafficking, particularly in remote areas and border regions. I use my experience to help train law enforcement in recognizing signs and patterns that might otherwise go unnoticed. And sometimes, when I park my van at a roadside rest area or forest campground in Ontario, I leave informational cards with helpline numbers in the bathrooms and common areas, small beacons of hope and warning in places where vulnerable travelers might find themselves alone and in danger. The nightmares still come, especially when I'm back in Canada. I still check my mirrors obsessively for vehicles that might be following too closely or for too long. I still wake at the slightest unusual sound outside my van, but I refuse to surrender completely to fear. The road called me once for its promise of liberty, and though that innocent vision is gone, I found a different kind of freedom in reclaiming my journey, not despite the darkness I encountered, but because of my determination to help ensure others avoid similar fates on the long, sometimes treacherous road home. Cold air seeps through the van's window seals as I hunker down in my sleeping bag. I'm Ellie Harper, 28 years old, from Vancouver, British Columbia. Living in my converted Sprinter van's been my dream since I was a broke college kid sketching floor plans on napkins. Now, I'm parked on the outskirts of Ontario, Canada, in a gravel pull-off near Algonquin Provincial Park. The stars are sharp tonight, like pinpricks in a black curtain, but something about this place feels off. I shake it off, probably just the isolation talking. My van, nicknamed Rusty, is my home. Solar panels, a tiny sink, and a bed that doubles as a couch. It's cozy, but tonight, the coziness feels like a trap. I sip my tea, the steam curling in the chilly air, and try to focus on my journal. The road to Ontario was a long one, fueled by gas station coffee and playlists of old rock tunes. I've been chasing freedom, you know? That feeling of waking up somewhere new, no strings attached. But freedom comes with a price, like the creepy gas station clerk back in Sudbury who stared too long when I bought a map. He muttered something about folks disappearing around here, but I laughed it off. Small town gossip, right? Still, I double-checked the locks on Rusty's doors before bed. My best friend, Tara, texted me earlier, begging me to send her my location. She's paranoid, always has been, but I promised I'd ping her tomorrow. For now, it's just me, the van, and the quiet hum of the forest outside. I met Tara years ago at a Vancouver climbing gym. She's the kind of person who'd fight a bear for you, but cry over a sad dog commercial. She's not here, though, just me and the occasional rustle of leaves. I've got another friend, Marcus, who's supposed to meet me in a couple days. He's a photographer, always chasing the perfect shot, and he's been hyping up Algonquin's fall colors. Marcus is 32, lanky, with a laugh that echoes. He's got this girlfriend, Lena, who's coming along. She's intense, a survivalist type who carries a knife everywhere. I haven't met her yet, but Marcus says she's good people. I hope so. I could use some company that doesn't feel so distant. The van's propane heater kicks on, a soft hiss that's usually comforting. Tonight, it makes me jump. I laugh at myself. Ellie, you're losing it. I've parked in remote spots before, deserts, mountains, even sketchy rest stops. Never felt this uneasy. Maybe it's the stories I read online about Algonquin. Tales of hikers vanishing or finding weird symbols carved into trees. Urban legends, probably, but they stick with you. Like that time I watched the Blair Witch Project alone and didn't sleep for 2 days. I shake my head, trying to focus on the present. The tea's gone cold, and I set it on the counter, the ceramic mug clinking against the wood. I grab my phone to check the time, 11:47 p.m. No signal out here, which isn't surprising. Ontario's wilderness is vast, swallowing up cell towers like they're nothing. I think about my parents back in Vancouver, probably asleep in their suburban bungalow. They hate my van life choice, call it reckless. Maybe they're right, but I'd rather be reckless than stuck in a cubicle. Still, I wish I'd told them exactly where I was parking tonight. The pull-off seemed fine in daylight, flat, hidden from the road, with a view of the lake. Now, in the dark, it feels like the forest is watching me. I pull the curtains tighter, blocking out the night. I'm not alone out here, not really. There's another vehicle parked about 100 yards away, some beat-up pickup truck. I spotted it when I pulled in, but nobody came out to say hi. Vanlifers usually wave, swap stories, maybe share a beer. These folks, nothing. I figured they're just private, maybe sleeping. Still, I keep glancing at the window, half expecting to see someone standing there. My imagination's running wild, like when I was a kid convinced there was a monster under my bed. I tell myself to chill, but my heart's beating a little faster. I grab my flashlight, just in case, and set it by the bed. The forest is silent now, no wind, no animals. It's eerie, like the world's holding its breath. I think about that clerk again, his yellowed teeth and the way he leaned over the counter, whispering about bad people in these woods. I brushed it off, but now I'm wondering if I should have listened. I've got a can of pepper spray in the glove box, a gift from Tara. Never used it, but it's comforting to know it's there. I try to distract myself by flipping through my journal, rereading notes from past trips. Yellowstone, Banff, the Oregon coast, places that felt alive, not like this dead quiet. I scribble a quick entry. Ontario, night 1. Feeling weird. Probably nothing. I climb into bed, pulling the sleeping bag up to my chin. Rusty's walls are thin, and every creak of the van feels amplified. I think about Marcus and Lena, wondering what they're doing right now. Probably planning their route, packing camera gear. I wish they were here already. I close my eyes, trying to picture their faces, but all I can see is that pickup truck, its rusty bumper glinting in my headlights. I tell myself I'm being paranoid, that I've parked in worse spots. Still, I keep the flashlight within reach, its weight grounding me. Sleep feels far away, like a luxury I can't afford tonight. As I lie there, something shifts outside, a faint crunch, like gravel under boots. My eyes snap open, heart pounding. I hold my breath, listening, but it's gone. Just an animal, I tell myself. A deer, maybe, or a raccoon. But the silence that follows is heavier, more oppressive. I stare at the ceiling, the van's walls closing in, and wonder if I should have picked a different spot. The night stretches on, and I'm not sure what's worse, the sound I heard or the quiet that's swallowing it. Sunlight filters through Rusty's curtains, weak and gray, like it's struggling to break through the fog. I barely slept, my eyes gritty from staring at the ceiling all night. That crunch I heard, probably nothing, but it's got me rattled. I sit up, rubbing my face, and check my phone. Still no signal. Ontario's wilderness is gorgeous, but it's a black hole for connectivity. I think about Tara, probably freaking out because I haven't texted. I promised to send my location today, but that's not happening out here. My stomach growls, and I decide to make coffee. The routine feels normal, grounding, like when I'd brew a pot before a big exam in college. But the unease from last night lingers, sour and heavy. I step outside to stretch, the cold biting my cheeks. The lake's still, reflecting pines like a postcard, but it's too quiet. No birds, no wind. That pickup truck's still there, maybe 100 yards off, its windows dark. I squint, trying to see if anyone's inside, but it's too far. My gut says to move on, find a new spot, but I'm supposed to meet Marcus and Lena here tomorrow. Changing plans now means coordinating with no signal, and I'm not thrilled about driving deeper into Algonquin without a map. I grabbed the Sudbury map from the van, the one that creepy clerk sold me, and spread it on the hood. It's worn, with weird handwritten notes in the margins, random numbers, a scratched out word that looks like run. Back inside, I sip my coffee, but it tastes off, like the jitters are tainting it. I think about that clerk again, his warning about bad people. I'm not one for ghost stories, but real threats? Those I take seriously. Like that time in Portland when a guy followed me to my van after a bar. I got out fine, thanks to Tara's pepper spray, but it taught me to trust my instincts. Right now, they're screaming to leave. Still, I talk myself down. I've got supplies, a full tank, and a plan to meet my friends. Running off because of a bad vibe feels like letting fear win. I decide to stay put, but I'll keep my eyes on that truck. I spend the morning tidying Rusty, trying to shake the creepy feeling. I reorganize my canned goods, fold blankets, anything to keep busy. Around noon, I hear an engine. My heart skips, and I peek through the curtain. The pickup's moving, slow, circling the pull-off before stopping closer, maybe 50 yards now. Two guys climb out, both in worn jackets and boots caked with mud. One's tall, with a beard that hides half his face. The other's shorter, twitchy, with a baseball cap pulled low. They don't look my way, just start unloading something from the truck bed. Boxes, maybe, or bags. It's hard to tell. I feel a chill, like when you know someone's watching you, even if you can't prove it. I grab my binoculars. Marcus lent them to me for bird watching, but they're handy now. Through the lenses, I see the tall guy hefting a heavy duffel bag, the kind you'd use for gym gear or something else. The twitchy one's scanning the tree line, his head jerking like he's nervous. My mind races to true crime podcasts, stories of drifters pulling shady deals in remote spots. I tell myself I'm jumping to conclusions, but the way they move, quick, deliberate, feels wrong. I think about driving away, but what if they see me leave? What if they follow? I curse myself for parking so far from the main road. Rookie mistake, Ellie. I decide to act normal, like I'm just another vanlifer enjoying the view. I step outside, lock the van, and walk toward the lake, pretending to take photos with my phone. My hands shake as I frame the water, the pines, anything to look busy. The guys don't approach, but I feel their eyes on me. It's like that moment in a horror movie when the music gets tense, and you know something's about to pop off. I force a smile, like I'm carefree, but my heart's hammering. Back at the van, I notice something new. A scratch on Rusty's door, shallow but fresh. I run my finger over it, my stomach twisting. Could have been a branch, but it looks too clean, too intentional. I climb back into the van, locking the doors and double-checking the windows. My plan's shifting. I'll stay tonight, but if anything else feels off, I'm out. I think about Marcus and Lena again, wishing they'd show up early. Marcus is chill, but Lena's survivalist vibes might actually come in handy. I try to picture them driving up, laughing, making this feel less scary. Instead, my mind keeps drifting to that duffel bag. What's in it? Tools? Clothes? Or something worse? I shake my head, trying to focus. I grab my journal, scribbling down what I saw, like writing it will make it less real. It doesn't. The day drags on, and the fog thickens, cloaking the pull-off in a gray haze. I cook a late lunch, ramen with a sad sprinkle of dried herbs, hoping the routine will calm me. It doesn't. Every sound outside makes me flinch. A twig snapping, the wind picking up. I keep glancing at the pickup through the curtain, but the guys haven't moved. They're just there, like they're waiting for something. Or someone. I think about the pepper spray in the glove box, wondering if it'd do any good against two guys. My mind's spiraling, and I hate it. I'm not this paranoid, not usually. But Ontario's got this vibe, like the forest itself is in on some disturbing secret. I tell myself to hold it together, just one more night. As dusk settles, the pickup's lights flick on, cutting through the fog. I freeze, watching from the van's shadows. The tall guy's standing by the truck, staring right at my van. Not moving, just staring. My breath catches, and I duck below the window, heart pounding like a drum. I tell myself he can't see me, not with the curtains drawn. But the way he stood there, still as a statue, felt like a message. Like he knows I'm here alone. I clutch the pepper spray, its weight cold in my hand, and wonder if staying was the dumbest decision I've ever made. Night clamps down hard, the fog so thick I can barely see the lake. I'm crouched and rusty, pepper spray in one hand, flashlight in the other. That tall guy staring at my van earlier? It's burned into my brain, like a horror movie scene you can't unsee. My heart's still racing, and I'm kicking myself for not bolting when I had the chance. The pickup's lights are off now, but I know they're still out there. I can feel it, like when you're a kid and swear something's in the closet. I peek through a slit in the curtain, but the fog's a wall of gray. No shapes, no movement. Just silence, so heavy it's suffocating. I try to breathe slow, but every exhale sounds too loud in the van's tight space. I think about calling for help, but my phone's useless. No bars, no Wi-Fi. It's like Ontario's wilderness is mocking me. I shove the phone in my pocket and grip the pepper spray tighter. My mind's replaying every true crime story I've ever heard. Hitchhikers gone missing, campers found in pieces. I tell myself to stop, but it's no use. That scratch on Rusty's door keeps nagging at me. Was it them? A warning? I'm spiraling, and I hate it. I think about Tara, how she'd tell me to get my shit together and drive. But driving now means rolling past that pickup, and the thought makes my stomach lurch. I'm trapped, and it's my own damn fault. A thud outside snaps me upright. It's sharp, like something heavy hitting the ground. My pulse spikes, and I kill the flashlight, plunging the van into darkness. I listen, straining for anything. Voices, footsteps, anything to clue me in. Nothing. Just that eerie quiet again. I crawl to the driver's seat, keeping low, and peek out the windshield. The fog's thinning just enough to see the pickup's outline. And then I spot it. A shape moving near the truck, low to the ground, like someone's crouching. My mouth goes dry. It's the twitchy guy, I think, but he's not alone. There's another figure, taller, broader, dragging something across the gravel. It looks heavy, like a sack, or a body. I clamp a hand over my mouth to keep from gasping. My brain screaming, this is bad, this is so bad. I think about that duffel bag from earlier, the way they handled it like it was precious. What the hell are they doing? My mind flashes to news stories about traffickers using remote parks as drop-off points. Algonquin's huge, easy to hide in. I shake my head, trying to focus. I need a plan, but fear's got me frozen, like when I wiped out climbing and just hung there, paralyzed. I tell myself to move, do something, but my body's not listening. The shapes outside pause, and I swear one of them turns toward my van. I duck, heart pounding so loud I'm sure they can hear it. I crawl back to the bed, grabbing my journal like it's a lifeline. I scribble what I saw, my handwriting shaky. It's stupid, but writing feels like proof this is happening. Like if I don't make it, someone might find this and know. I stop, hating how dark my thoughts are getting. I think about Marcus and Lena, wondering if they're close. If they show up now, will they walk into this mess? I picture Marcus's goofy grin, Lena's knife glinting. God, I need them here. But wishing won't help. I shove the journal under the mattress and check the locks again, even though I know they're secure. The van feels smaller, like the walls are shrinking. Another sound, closer this time, a scrape against Rusty's side. My blood runs cold. It's not a branch. It's too slow, too deliberate. I bite my lip, tasting blood, and grip the pepper spray so hard my knuckles ache. I'm not imagining this. Something's out there, and it's not an animal. I think about yelling, scaring them off, but what if that draws them closer? I'm alone, no weapons beyond this can of spray and a flashlight I could maybe swing like a club. I curse myself for not listening to my gut yesterday, for staying when every instinct screamed to leave. That's on me, and now I'm paying for it. I risk another glance through the curtain. The fog's lifted a bit, and I see them clearer now, both guys standing by the pickup. The tall one's holding a shovel, the blade glinting in the moonlight. The twitchy one's pacing, gesturing wildly, like he's pissed. And there, on the ground, is that sack, or whatever it is. It's not moving, but it's shaped wrong, too lumpy to be just gear. My stomach twists, and I feel sick. This is beyond disturbing. It's straight up terrifying. I think about the clerk's warning, those scribbled notes on the map. Run. I should have listened. I should have gotten the hell out of Ontario. I slide to the floor, back against the bed, trying to think. My options suck. Stay quiet and hope they leave, or start the van and make a break for it. Driving means noise, headlights, attention, but staying feels like waiting to die. I think about my parents, how they'd lose it if they knew I was here, alone, with these creeps outside. I picture Tara's face, her telling me I'm an idiot for parking in the middle of nowhere. She's right. I made a mistake, a big one. I fumble for the keys in my pocket, my hands shaking so bad I nearly drop them. I need to be ready, just in case. Then I hear it, a low, guttural voice, muffled but close. It's coming from right outside the van. Check it, the voice says, rough like gravel. My heart stops. They're talking about me, or Rusty, or both. I freeze, every muscle locked, waiting for the next sound. A creak, a knock, anything. The silence is worse, though, like the calm before a storm. I clutch the keys, the metal biting into my palm, and realize there's no waiting this out. Something's clearly wrong, and it's not just my imagination. Whatever's happening out there, it's coming for me next. My heart's a jackhammer as I slide into the driver's seat, keys shaking in my hand. That voice, check it, is still ringing in my ears, and I know I've got seconds, maybe, before they're at my door. I jam the key into the ignition, praying Rusty doesn't pick now to act up. The engine sputters, then roars, loud enough to wake the dead. I flick on the headlights, and the fog lights up, revealing the tall guy sprinting toward me, shovel raised like a weapon. My scream catches in my throat. This is it, a straight-up horror show, and I'm not waiting to see how it ends. I slam the gas, tires spitting gravel, and Rusty lurches forward. The guy dives out of the way, but I hear a thunk. Something hits the van. I don't look back. I'm driving blind, fog swallowing the road, but I'd rather crash than stay. The pull-off's a maze of ruts and rocks, and Rusty bounces like a toy. My hands grip the wheel so tight my knuckles burn. I'm aiming for the main road, but the fog's so thick I can barely see 10 feet. My mind's racing. Those guys, that sack, the shovel. What the hell are they doing out here? I think of news stories about bodies found in national parks, dumped where no one looks. Ontario's wilderness is perfect for that, vast and cruel. I shake the thought off, focusing on the road. My headlights catch a sign, Highway 60, half a mile. If I can make it there, I've got a shot. But then I hear it, an engine revving behind me. Headlights stab through the fog. The pickup's coming, and it's gaining fast. My stomach drops. This is bad. I floor it, Rusty's engine whining like it's begging for mercy. The pickup's close now, its lights flooding my mirrors. I swerve, dodging a pothole, and something slides in the back, my mug shattering on the floor. I curse, my nerves frayed. I think about Tara, how she'd be yelling at me to drive smarter, not harder. But there's no smart way out of this. I'm in a horror movie, chased by psychos in a truck that could ram me off the road. I fumble for the pepper spray, wedging it in the console. If they catch me, I'm not going down without a fight. The road narrows, trees crowding in, and I pray I don't hit a deer or worse. The pickup honks, long and mean, like they're toying with me. A curve looms ahead, and I take it too fast, tires screeching. Rusty fishtails, but I wrestle it back, sweat stinging my eyes. The pickup's still there, closer now, its bumper gleaming in my mirrors. I catch a glimpse of the twitchy guy leaning out the passenger window, something in his hand. A gun? A knife? I don't wait to find out. I yank the wheel, veering onto a side trail I didn't even see until now. Branches scrape Rusty's sides, loud as screams, but the pickup misses the turn. Its lights fade, and for a second, I think I've lost them. My chest heaves, relief mixing with terror. I'm still moving, still alive, but this trail's barely a path, twisting deeper into Algonquin's guts. The trail's a nightmare, mud sucking at my tires, rocks banging the undercarriage. I slow down, not wanting to wreck, but every second feels like a risk. My headlights carve tunnels through the fog, and I'm hyper-aware of every sound. Rusty's groans, my ragged breathing. I think about Marcus and Lena, wondering if they're driving into this mess. If I survive, I'm never parking alone again. I laugh, a shaky sound, because it's either that or cry. The trail splits, and I pick left, hoping it loops back to the highway. My phone's still dead, no GPS, no help. I'm flying blind, like that time I got lost hiking in Banff and swore I'd never be so reckless again. Yet here I am, running for my life. A glow ahead, another road maybe? I push Rusty harder, ignoring the warning lights flickering on the dash. The trail widens, and I see asphalt, Highway 60. I almost sob with relief. But as I pull onto the road, headlights flare behind me again. The pickup's back, like a dog that won't quit. My heart sinks. They must have doubled back, found another trail. I gun it, the highway stretching dark and empty. No cars, no cops, just me and these creeps. I think about pulling over, hiding in the trees, but Rusty's no stealth machine. My only shot is outrunning them, finding a town, anything. Ontario's never felt so damn endless. The pickup's gaining, its engine a low growl. I'm pushing Rusty past her limit, the speedometer creeping up. I see a sign, Barry's Bay, 20 kilometers. If I can make it, there'll be people, lights, safety. But the pickup's bumper kisses mine, a sickening jolt that makes me scream. They're not just chasing, they're trying to run me off. I swerve, barely staying on the road. My mind's a blur, flashing to my parents, Tara, the life I might lose. I'm not ready to die, not like this. I grip the wheel, tears blurring my vision, and make a snap decision. There's a turnoff ahead, barely visible. I jerk the wheel, praying it's a way out, not a dead end. The turnoff's a dirt road, narrow and rutted, but I take it, Rusty shuddering. The pickup follows, but it's slower on this terrain, its bulk working against it. I weave through trees, branches snapping against the windshield. My headlights catch something, a clearing, maybe a campsite. I aim for it, hoping for cover, but the ground's soft and Rusty's tires spin. I curse, slamming the gas, but the van's stuck, mud spraying. The pickup's lights grow brighter, closing in. I grab the pepper spray and flashlight, my hands shaking so bad I nearly drop them. I'm out of road, out of options. The truck stops, doors slamming. Footsteps crunch closer, and I know this is life or death. I kill the engine, plunging everything into darkness. My breath's loud, too loud, as I crouch in the driver's seat. The footsteps stop, and I hear voices, low, angry. "She's here," the tall one says, and my blood freezes. I think about bolting into the woods, but they're too close, and I'm no sprinter. The pepper spray's my only weapon, and it feels pathetic against whatever they've got. I picture that sack, the shovel, and my mind screams they're killers. I made it this far, but now I'm cornered, Ontario's wilderness swallowing my chances. Something scrapes the van's door, slow and deliberate, like they're savoring this. I clutch the spray, ready to fight, but the terror's so thick I can barely move. The scraping stops, and silence crashes in, worse than any sound. I'm frozen, pepper spray slick in my sweaty palm, waiting for the door to rip open. My mind's screaming to do something, anything, but fear's got me pinned. I think about my parents, how they'll never know what happened, and Tara, who'll blame herself for not dragging me back to Vancouver. The van's my coffin now, Ontario's dark swallowing me whole. Then, a shout, not from the guys, but somewhere else. Headlights cut through the clearing, and I hear tires on gravel. My heart leaps. Marcus and Lena? It's gotta be them. I risk a peek and see a Jeep, its lights pinning the tall guy in place. He drops the shovel, raising his hands. Hope flares, but it's a fragile thing. The Jeep's door opens, and a figure steps out. Lena, her knife glinting like a promise. Marcus is behind her, yelling something I can't make out. The twitchy guy bolts into the woods, but the tall one stands his ground, snarling. I crack Rusty's window, catching Lena's voice, sharp and steady. Back off now. My chest loosens. I'm not alone anymore. I want to scream for help, but my voice is gone, like in those nightmares where you can't yell. The tall guy laughs, a sick, guttural sound, and pulls something from his jacket. A gun. My hope curdles into horror. Lena doesn't flinch, but Marcus grabs her arm, pulling her back. The tall guy's eyes flick to my van, and I duck, heart pounding. Gunshots crack the air, loud and final. I scream, curling into a ball. Glass shatters, Rusty's windshield, I think, and the van rocks. I'm shaking, tears streaming, sure I'm dead. But the shooting stops, and I hear Lena cursing, Marcus shouting my name. I force myself to look. The tall guy's on the ground, clutching his leg, gun nowhere in sight. Lena's standing over him, knife still out, blood on her sleeve. Marcus is at my door, banging, his face pale. Ellie, open up. I fumble with the lock, hands useless, and finally get it. He yanks the door open, pulling me into a hug. I'm sobbing, babbling about the pickup, the sack, the chase. Marcus just holds me, saying, "You're okay, you're okay." Lena's tying the tall guy's hands with zip ties, her movements precise, like she's done this before. The Jeep's headlights show the clearing's a mess, blood, broken glass, that damn sack lying near the pickup. I point at it, voice hoarse. What's in it? Lena glances over, her face hard. She walks to it, cuts it open with her knife, and freezes. I stumble closer, Marcus trying to stop me, but I need to know. Inside, it's not gear or drugs. It's clothes, shoes, wallets, personal stuff, stained with something dark. My stomach heaves. Trophies. These guys are worse than I thought. Predators collecting pieces of their kills. The horror's so thick I can't breathe. Marcus pulls me back to the Jeep, saying we need to get to a ranger station, call the cops. I nod, numb, but my eyes keep darting to the woods. The twitchy guy's still out there, and that thought's a knife in my gut. Lena's on her phone, finally getting a signal, talking fast. I climb into the Jeep, Rusty abandoned in the mud. My van, my home, feels like a trap now, tainted by this nightmare. Marcus drives, his hands steady, but I see the fear in his eyes. We're alive, but it doesn't feel like a win. Ontario's wilderness stretches around us, dark and endless, like it's laughing at our escape. I clutch the pepper spray, useless now, and try to believe it's over. The road to Barry's Bay is quiet, too quiet. Marcus keeps checking the mirrors, Lena's scanning the trees. I'm in the back, wrapped in a blanket, but I'm shivering, the horror clinging like damp rot. I think about that sack, those wallets, how many people didn't make it out. My mistake was staying, ignoring the signs, the scratch, the stare, the clerk's warning. I should have run when I had the chance. A mile from town, Lena stiffens, pointing to the road. Headlights, faint but closing fast. My heart sinks. It's the pickup or another car just like it. Marcus swears, flooring it, but the Jeep's no match for whatever's behind us. The lights grow brighter, blinding. I twist in my seat, and there's the twitchy guy, alone, grinning behind the wheel. He's not giving up. Lena grabs her knife, but a gun's no match for steel. I scream at Marcus to go faster, but the road's curving, slick with mist. The pickup rams us, metal screeching, and the Jeep spins. My world tilts, glass explodes, and we're rolling, trees blurring. Pain slams me, sharp and hot, as we crash into a ditch. I'm pinned, blood in my mouth, the blanket tangled like a shroud. Marcus is slumped, Lena's not moving. The pickup stops, and footsteps crunch closer. The twitchy guy's voice cuts through, soft and sick, told you to run. I try to move, but my body's broken, the pepper spray long gone. The headlights blind me, and I see him now, leaning in, his cap low. My mind flashes to my journal, hidden in Rusty, the only proof of this nightmare. I think of Tara, my parents, the life I chased in this van. It led me here, to this tragedy, this end. I made a deadly mistake, trusting the open road, thinking I could outrun the dark. His hand reaches for me, and I want to fight, to scream, but I'm fading. Ontario's wilderness closes in, cold and final, as his shadow swallows me whole. The last thing I hear is his laugh, a sound I'll never escape. There's no fight left, no miracle. The twitchy guy drags me from the wreck, my vision blurring. I see Lena's knife on the ground, useless now, and Marcus's hand, still reaching for me. The pickup's door slams, and I'm thrown inside, the smell of oil and blood choking me. I think of that clerk, his scribbled "run," and how I ignored it. My van life dream, my freedom, it's all ash now. The engine starts, and we're moving deeper into Algonquin's heart. I'm not coming back, not this time. The horror's won, and all I can do is pray someone finds my journal, my story, before it's too late. But the dark's too big, and I'm already gone. Rain taps Rusty's roof, steady and cold, as I huddle under a blanket. I'm Nate Sullivan, 30 years old, from Calgary, Alberta. My van, a beat-up Ford, the first converted myself, is parked in a secluded lot near Lake Superior's shore, just outside Thunder Bay, Ontario. Vanlife's been my escape for 2 years, trading cubicles for open roads. Tonight, though, the vibe's off. The lake's black as ink, waves crashing like they're angry. I'm sipping instant coffee, the kind that tastes like regret, and trying to shake a bad feeling. My rig's got a bed, a stove, and shelves crammed with books, but right now, it feels like a cage. I scribble in my notebook, hoping words will calm me. They don't. Thunder Bay was a last-minute stop. I was aiming for Sault Ste. Marie, but a detour sign rerouted me here. The town's got a gritty charm, but this lot, tucked behind a shuttered gas station, feels forgotten. I picked it for the view. Superior's cliffs are epic, but now I'm regretting it. My sister, Claire, texted earlier, worried as usual. She's 26, a nurse, always nagging me to stay safe. I promised to call tomorrow, but my phone's at one bar and the signal's shaky. I think about my buddy, Javier, who's meeting me in a few days. He's a chef, 34, with a laugh that could wake a coma patient. His cousin, Rosa, is tagging along. She's quiet, artsy, always sketching. I'm looking forward to their company. The rain picks up, drumming louder, and I check the locks. It's a habit, like brushing my teeth, but tonight it feels urgent. I've parked in sketchy spots before, desert washes, urban alleys, but this place has a disturbing edge. Maybe it's the stories I heard in town, about missing hikers near Superior. Bar talk, probably, but it sticks with you. Like that time I watched Hereditary alone and jumped at every creek for a week. I laugh at myself, trying to lighten up, but my coffee's gone cold, and the chill in the van isn't just the weather. I pull the curtains, blocking the lake's dark stare, and try to focus on my book, a dog-eared sci-fi novel. Javier and I go way back, bonding over bad tacos in Calgary. He's the guy who'd loan you his last dollar, then cook you dinner. Rosa, I've only met once at a gallery show. Her sketches are haunting, full of twisted trees and shadowed figures. Javier says she's deep, which I think means moody. They're driving up from Toronto, planning to camp with me near Sleeping Giant Provincial Park. I'm stoked, but tonight, I'm alone, and the isolation's hitting hard. I think about Claire, probably curled up with her cat in her cozy apartment. She'd hate this spot, call it serial killer central. I smile, but it fades fast. She might not be wrong. The gas station's neon sign flickers through the rain, casting weird shadows. I noticed a car parked there earlier, an old sedan with tinted windows. No one got out, and I didn't wave. Vanlifers usually do, but something told me not to. Now, I'm wondering if I should have picked a busier spot, like the Walmart lot in town. My gut's been reliable before, like when I dodged a sketchy hitchhiker in Montana. I grabbed my flashlight, a heavy one I could swing if needed, and set it by the bed. My knife's in the drawer, a gift from Claire. I'm not a fighter, but I'm not helpless either. Still, the thought of needing it makes my stomach twist. I climb into bed, the rain a dull roar. Superior's waves sound closer, like they're creeping up the shore. I think about those missing hikers, the way the bartender leaned in, whispering about folks who don't come back. I brushed it off, but now it's gnawing at me. My notebook's full of trip notes, Banff, Tofino, the Badlands. But tonight's entry is just one word, uneasy. I try to picture Javier and Rosa, their van pulling up, making this feel normal. Instead, my mind keeps drifting to that sedan, its dark windows like eyes. I tell myself I'm paranoid. That rain makes everything creepy. But my heart's not buying it. The van creaks, settling in the wind, and I flinch. I'm not usually this jumpy, but Thunder Bay's got a vibe, like the lake's hiding something. I think about my parents, retired in Calgary, probably watching some cop show. They don't get van life, call it wandering. Maybe they're right, but I'd rather wander than rot in a suburb. Still, I wish I'd told them exactly where I was tonight. The lot's empty except for that sedan, and I keep glancing at the window, expecting what? A face? A hand? I shake my head, trying to chill. My flashlight's close, my knife closer. Sleep's a distant hope, like a signal I can't quite catch. A sound cuts through the rain, a low hum, like an engine idling. My eyes snap open. It's faint, but it's there, coming from the gas station. I ease out of bed, heart thumping, and peek through the curtain. The sedan's lights are on, dim in the downpour, and I see movement. Someone's inside, maybe two people. My mouth goes dry. They're not leaving, not waving, just sitting there. It's like that moment in a scary movie when you know the jump scare's coming, but you're still not ready. I grip the flashlight, its weight grounding me, and tell myself it's nothing. Just locals, maybe. But the hum grows louder, and I'm not so sure. I sink to the floor, back against the bed, listening. The rain's relentless, masking other sounds, but that engine's still running. My mind's racing to worst-case scenarios. Robbers, creeps, worse. I think about driving away, but the lot's a dead end, and reversing past that sedan feels like a trap. I'm stuck, and it's my own fault for picking this spot. Claire's voice echoes in my head. Why do you park in the middle of nowhere? I don't have an answer, not tonight. The sedan's lights flicker, and I hold my breath, waiting for what's next. Whatever it is, it's already too close. Morning hits like a wet slap, the rain still pounding Lake Superior's shore. I'm up, bleary-eyed, nursing a headache from barely sleeping. That sedan's engine humming last night kept me wired, and now it's gone, leaving an empty lot that feels too quiet. I'm Nate Sullivan, still parked behind this creepy gas station in Thunder Bay, Ontario, and my gut's screaming to move. My phone's dead, no signal, no charger fix. Claire's probably losing it, thinking I'm ghosting her. I make oatmeal. The stoves hiss familiar, like mornings back in Calgary when I'd cooked before a shift. But the comfort's fake. The lake's waves crash hard, and I can't shake the feeling something's watching from the cliffs. I need to decide, stay for Javier and Rosa or bail now. I step outside, the air damp and heavy. The lot's a mess, puddles, tire tracks, and, wait, a fresh dent on Rusty's rear door. My heart skips. It's small, like someone tapped it with a tool, but it wasn't there yesterday. I run my hand over it, cold metal stinging my fingers. My mind flashes to that sedan, those shadows inside. Did they do this? I think of Claire's stories about car prowlers in her hospital parking lot. Petty, but bold. This feels different, more deliberate. I scan the lot, the gas station, the road. Nothing but rain and fog. I should leave, find a Walmart lot, but Javier's meeting me here tomorrow. Ditching now means screwing up our plans, and I'm not that guy. Back in the van, I grab my map, an old one I got at a Thunder Bay diner. It's creased, with coffee stains and a weird doodle in the corner, a stick figure with no face. Creepy, but probably some kid scribble. I trace routes to Sleeping Giant Provincial Park, where we're camping next. My plan's to stay put, but that dent's got me rattled. I think about Javier, how he'd laugh and say, "Man, you're spooked by a bump?" He's chill, but Rose is sharper, always noticing details. I wish they were here now. I decide to check Rusty's tires and locks, make sure nothing else is off. Routine keeps me sane, like when I double-check my gear before a backcountry hike. Outside, the rain's lighter, but the fog's thicker, cloaking the cliffs. I'm kneeling by Rusty's rear tire when I hear it. A crunch, like boots on gravel. My head snaps up, but the fog's a gray wall. I freeze, listening, my pulse loud in my ears. Nothing, just the lake's roar. I tell myself it's a deer, maybe, but my hands shake as I check the tire. That's when I see it. A cigarette, but fresh, near the dent. I don't smoke, and this wasn't here last night. My stomach twists. Someone was out here, close, while I was sleeping. It's like that time I found a stranger's footprint by my tent in Jasper. Unsettling, But this feels worse, more personal. I climb back into Rusty, locking the doors. My knife's in my hand now, its weight grounding me. I think about that bartender's warning about missing hikers, how he said, "Superior, don't give back what it takes." I laughed it off, but now it's not funny. The sedan's gone, but what if they're circling back? My mind's pulling from horror flicks, Psycho, The Hills Have Eyes, where the bad guys are always one step ahead. I shake it off, but the cigarette butt's real, the dent's real. I decide to stay, but I'm moving Rusty closer to the gas station, where the streetlights might keep creeps away. It's a small win, but it feels like I'm stalling the inevitable. I drive Rusty 50 yards, parking under a flickering neon sign. The gas station's closed, windows dark, but it's better than the open lot. I check my supplies, food, water, gas, all good. I'm set to wait for Javier, but every sound makes me jump. I think about Claire, how she'd be on the phone with 911 already. I wish I could call her, hear her nag me into leaving. Instead, I grab my notebook, jotting down the dent, the cigarette, the sedan. Writing's my way of coping, like when I journaled after a bad breakup. But this isn't heartbreak. It's something scarier, something I can't name yet. The fog presses against the windows, like it's trying to get in. Around noon, a truck pulls into the lot. A Rusty pickup, not the sedan. Two guys get out, mid-40s, in flannel and work boots. They're carrying fishing gear, but they don't look at the lake. They're staring at Rusty, whispering to each other. My skin crawls. Vanlifers swap stories, but these guys aren't friendly. One's got a scar across his cheek, the other's chewing something, spitting on the ground. I sink low in my seat, watching through the curtain. They don't approach, but they linger, too long, like they're sizing me up. It's like that moment in a bar when you know a fight's brewing, but you're not sure who swings first. I decide to play it cool, step outside, and stretch, acting like I don't see them. My heart's hammering, but I fake a yawn, phone in hand like I'm checking texts. The scarred guy nods at me, but his eyes are cold, like a shark's. I nod back, forcing a smile, then duck into the van. My hands are shaking as I lock the door. I think about driving away, but what if they follow? The pickup's parked between me and the road, almost like they planned it. I curse myself for not leaving at dawn. That's my mistake, trusting this lot was safe. I grab my knife, sliding it into my pocket, and tell myself I'm overreacting. But those guys aren't fishing, not today. Dusk creeps in, the fog thicker now, swallowing the lake. The pickup's still there, but the guys are gone. Inside the truck, maybe, or in the shadows. I can't tell. My flashlight's ready, my knife closer. I think about Javier and Rosa, wishing their van would roll up, headlights cutting the gloom. Instead, I hear a new sound, a low whistle, sharp and deliberate, coming from the cliffs. My blood runs cold. It's not a bird, not the wind. It's human, and it's close. I clutch the knife, my breath shallow, and realize staying was a bad call. Something's out there, and it's not just the rain making this night feel so damn wrong. The whistle cuts through the fog again, sharper, closer, like a blade in the dark. I'm crouched and Rusty, knife in hand, heart slamming against my ribs. That sound wasn't random. It's a signal, and it's meant for me. The pickup's still out there, its shape barely visible under the gas station's flickering neon. I'm Nate Sullivan, stuck in this creepy lot in Thunder Bay, Ontario, and I know now those guys aren't fishermen. My mind's racing, pulling up horror stories, human traffickers, backwoods gangs. The cigarette butt, the dent, their cold stares, it's all adding up to something disturbing. I peek through the curtain, and my breath catches. The scarred guy's standing by the pickup, staring right at my van. His buddy's nowhere in sight, and that's worse. I kill the van's interior light, plunging everything into shadows. My phone's dead, no way to call Claire or anyone. I'm alone, and this lot feels like a trap. The whistle comes again, from the cliffs now, and I realize the other guy's up there, circling. They're coordinating, like wolves herding prey. I think about that bartender's warning about Superior's missing hikers, how he said some folks just vanish. I brushed it off, but now it's real, and I'm the idiot who parked in their backyard. My knife's sharp, but against two guys? I'm not Rambo. I think about Javier and Rosa, wishing their van would roll up. But it's just me, and the terror's sinking in deep. A thud hits Rusty's side, hard enough to rock the van. I bite back a yell, gripping the knife so tight my hand aches. It's not a branch, too heavy, too deliberate. I crawl to the driver's seat, keeping low, and peek out. The scarred guy's gone, but I hear gravel crunching, slow and steady, circling the van. My pulse is deafening, like when I got caught in a snowstorm hiking and thought I'd freeze. This is worse, though. This is human, calculated. I think about that doodle on the map, the faceless stick figure. Was it a warning? A mark? My stomach twists. I made a mistake staying here, ignoring the signs, and now I'm paying for it. I fumble for my flashlight, its beam shaky as I sweep the van's interior. Everything's in place. Books, stove, my notebook, but it feels wrong, like someone's been inside. I check the drawer where I keep my cash. It's there, but the bills are out of order, like someone rifled through. My blood runs cold. They've been in here, maybe last night while I slept. The thought's so violating, like finding a stranger's hair in your food. I think about Claire, how she'd scream at me to leave. I want to, but the pickup's blocking the exit, and those footsteps are still out there, pacing. I'm trapped, and the horror's closing in. A voice, low, raspy, cuts through the fog. Come out, man. We just want to talk. It's the scarred guy, close, maybe 10 feet away. My heart stops. Talk. Yeah, right. I've seen enough crime shows to know that's a lie. I picture that cigarette, butt, the dent, and my mind screams they're not here to chat. I think about the lake, how Superior's waves could hide anything. Bodies, evidence me. I shake my head, trying to focus. I need a plan, but fear's got me paralyzed, like when I froze mid-climb on a cliff face. The whistling starts again, from the cliffs, and I realize they're playing with me, enjoying this sick game. I slide to the back, checking the rear door's lock. It's secure, but I notice something new, a smudge on the handle, like greasy fingers. My skin crawls. They've touched my van, my home. I think about Javier's stories of bar fights, how he'd laugh about handling business. I wish I had his guts now. Instead, I'm shaking, knife useless against whatever's coming. The scarred guy speaks again, closer. Don't make this hard. His tone's calm, but it's the kind of calm that hides a storm. I picture his scar, that cold stare, and my mind flashes to news reports of drifters found dead in ditches. This is real, and it's happening to me. Something scrapes the van's roof, slow and heavy, like boots dragging. My breath hitches. The other guy's up there, the whistler. They're boxing me in, one at the door, one above. My mind's screaming to run, but where? The lot's a dead end, the cliff's a drop to the lake. I think about Rosa, her creepy sketches of shadowed figures. Did she know something about places like this? I shove the thought away, focusing on survival. I grab my notebook, scribbling what's happening, like it'll save me. It's stupid, but it's all I've got. The scraping stops, and the silence is worse, like the world's holding its breath before a scream. I risk another glance outside. The scarred guy's by the pickup, holding something. A crowbar, maybe, glinting in the neon light. My stomach drops. He's not hiding his intentions now. The whistling stopped, but I hear a faint creak above, like the whistler's shifting. They're ready to move. I think about my parents, how they'll never know what happened, and Claire, who'll blame herself. My mistake was picking this lot, thinking I could handle anything. Now I'm cornered, the terror so thick I can't think straight. I clutch the knife, my only defense, and pray for a way out. But the van feels like a tomb. A loud bang hits the rear door, metal groaning. I yelp, dropping the flashlight. It rolls, beams spinning, lighting up the van's walls like a funhouse. The scarred guy laughs, a guttural sound that makes my skin crawl. Last chance, he says, and I hear the crowbar scrape the door. My mind's a mess, flashing to every horror movie where the hero makes a dumb move and dies. I'm not a hero, just a guy who wanted freedom. Now I'm trapped in Thunder Bay's dark, with bad people closing in. The whistling starts again, soft and mocking, and I know they're done waiting. Something's about to break, and I'm not sure it's just the door. The crowbar slams the door again, metal screeching, and I'm scrambling, knife slipping in my sweaty grip. I'm Nate Sullivan, trapped in Rusty, and those guys are done playing. The scarred guy's laugh echoes, chilling, like something out of a nightmare. I jam the keys into the ignition, praying Rusty starts. The engine coughs, then roars, headlights cutting through Thunder Bay's fog. I slam the gas, tires spinning on wet gravel, and the van lurches toward the lot's exit. The pickup's in my way, but I swerve, scraping its bumper. A yell, maybe the whistler, follows, but I'm not looking back. The gas station's neon blurs as I hit the road, heart pounding like a drum. This is life or death, and I'm running from something straight up horrifying. The road's slick, Lake Superior's waves roaring to my left. Fog chokes everything, and my headlights barely dent it. I'm pushing Rusty hard, the engine whining like it's begging me to ease up. No chance. I hear an engine behind me. The pickup, its lights stabbing my mirrors. My stomach drops. These guys aren't giving up, like dogs after a bone. I think of Claire, how she'd scream at me to keep driving. My mind flashes to news stories. Bodies dumped along Superior's shores, never found. I shake it off, gripping the wheel. The road curves, and I take it too fast, tires screeching. Something crashes in the back, my stove, maybe, but I don't care. I just need to reach town, find lights, people, anything. The pickup's closer now, its horn blaring, mean and loud. I glance in the mirror and see the scarred guy driving, his face twisted. The Whistler's leaning out, holding something. A pipe, maybe, or worse. My heart's in my throat. It's like that time I outran a storm in the Rockies. But this is scarier, more personal. I swerve, dodging a pothole, and Rusty groans, a warning light flashing. I curse, knowing she's struggling. Thunder Bay's gotta be close, maybe 10 minutes if I floor it. But the pickup rams my bumper, a sickening crunch, and I jolt forward, nearly losing the wheel. They're not just chasing, they're trying to kill me. I spot a turnoff, a narrow dirt track veering toward the cliffs. It's a gamble, but staying on this road means getting rammed again. I yank the wheel, Rusty bouncing onto the track, branches scraping like claws. The pickup follows, but it's slower, its bulk bogging down. My headlights catch a sign, old mining trail, no outlet. My heart sinks. Bad call, Nate. The track's a mess, rocks banging the undercarriage, but I keep going, praying for a miracle. The pickup's lights fade, then flare again, they're still coming. I think of Javier, Rosa, how they'll show up to an empty lot. I'm not dying here, not tonight. I grip the knife, useless now, and push Rusty harder. The trail narrows, cliffs looming on one side, a drop to the lake on the other. Rusty's tires slip, mud sucking them down. I'm sweating, the fog's so thick it's like driving through smoke. The pickup's still behind, but farther now, struggling. I see a clearing ahead, maybe an old mine site. It's my only shot. I gun it, Rusty shuddering, and pull into the clearing, surrounded by rusted equipment and pines. I kill the engine, plunging everything into dark. My breath's loud, ragged, as I grab the knife and flashlight. The pickup's engine growls closer, headlights sweeping. I'm cornered, but I'm not done. I slip out the side door, crouching in the shadows, ready to run or fight. The pickup stops, doors slamming. Footsteps crunch, heavy and deliberate. The scarred guy's voice cuts through. He's here. Find him. My blood freezes. They're hunting me, like I'm prey. I crawl behind a rusted conveyor, the knife cold in my hand. The fog's my ally now, hiding me, but it hides them too. I think of Claire's knife, how she said it'd keep me safe. It feels like a joke against these guys. The Whistler's boots scrape nearby, and I hold my breath, heart hammering. My mind's screaming to bolt, but the lake's too close, the cliff's too steep. I'm trapped in Ontario's dark, and the terror's choking me. I hear a clank, metal on metal, like the Whistler's searching the equipment. My legs burn from crouching, but I don't move. The scarred guy's circling Rusty, his crowbar dragging on the ground. It's a sick sound, like he's savoring this. I think of those missing hikers, how Superior swallows its secrets. Did they run like this? Did they hide? My flashlight's off, but its weight's comforting, like a club. I could swing it, maybe take one guy down. But two, no chance. The Whistler whistles again, low and mocking, and it's closer, too close. My mind flashes to horror movies where the hero escapes. I'm no hero, just a guy who made a dumb choice. Something moves to my left, a shadow in the fog. I stifle a gasp, pressing against the conveyor. It's the Whistler, his silhouette lanky, a pipe in his hand. He's 10 feet away, scanning the clearing. My heart's so loud I'm sure he hears it. I think of my notebook, my scribbled fears, left in Rusty. If I die, will anyone find it? The scarred guy calls out, "Got his van." He's on foot. My stomach twists. They're systematic, like they've done this before. I shift, slow, inching toward the pines. If I can reach the trees, maybe I can lose them. But the ground's wet, and my boot slips, a twig snapping. The Whistler's head snaps toward me, and I know I'm screwed. I bolt, legs pumping, fog swallowing my path. Branches whip my face, but I don't stop. The Whistler yells, footsteps pounding behind me. The scarred guy's shouting, his voice a growl. I'm running blind. The lake's roar guiding me, but it's a death trap. Cliffs or water, no escape. My lungs burn, my knife still clutched, useless now. The clearing's gone, just trees and fog, and I'm alone, or so I think. A hand grabs my jacket, yanking me back. I scream, swinging the knife, but it's the Whistler, his pipe raised. Pain explodes in my shoulder, and I hit the ground, the world spinning. They've got me, and Ontario's night is closing in, cold and merciless. Pain sears my shoulder, hot and sharp, as I sprawl in the mud. The Whistler looms over me, pipe glinting, his grin sick in the fog. I'm Nate Sullivan, and this is it. Thunder Bay's dark has me. I swing my knife, weak, but he bats it away, the blade skittering into the pines. The scarred guy's boots crunch closer, his crowbar dragging like a death knell. My mind's a mess, flashing to Claire, Javier, my parents. I think of my notebook, my story, lost and rusty. The Whistler kicks me, ribs cracking, and I gasp, tasting blood. I'm not getting out, not this time. But then, headlights, bright and sudden, cut the fog. A horn blares, and the Whistler stumbles, cursing. It's a van, Javier and Rosa, it has to be. Hope sparks, fragile but real. The van skids into the clearing, gravel spraying. Javier's voice shouts, Nate, and I hear Rosa's sharp yell, something about a gun. The scarred guy spins, crowbar raised, but a shot cracks, loud and final. He drops, screaming, clutching his leg. My heart leaps. Rosa's packing, thank God. The Whistler bolts toward the pines, but Javier's out, tackling him. I try to move, but pain pins me, my shoulder a mess. Rosa's at my side, her face pale, a pistol in her hand. Stay down, she says, voice steady but eyes wide. I nod, gasping, as she checks my wounds. The clearing's chaos, blood, shouts, the pickup's headlights glaring. I'm alive, but the horror's not done. Javier's got the Whistler pinned, zip-tying his wrists. The scarred guy's moaning, Rosa's gun trained on him. I'm fading, pain and shock pulling me under, but I force myself to focus. The van, I croak, pointing to Rusty. They were inside. Rosa nods, handing Javier the gun, and runs to check. She's back fast, holding my notebook and something else. A plastic bag, stuffed with IDs, jewelry, bloody cloth. My stomach heaves. Trophies, like serial killers keep. The bartender's warning, those missing hikers, it's all true. These guys are monsters, and I parked right in their hunting ground. Rosa's face hardens, and I know she's thinking the same. Javier drags the Whistler to the van, tossing him in the back. The scarred guy's tied up, bleeding but alive. Rosa's calling the cops, her phone somehow catching a signal. I'm slumped against a tree, Javier's jacket over me, but I'm shaking, the cold sinking deep. My shoulders busted, ribs screaming, but I'm here, thanks to them. I think of Claire, how she'll cry when she hears. My mistake was this lot, ignoring the dent, the cigarette butt. I should have listened to my gut, like when I dodged that hitchhiker. Javier kneels, checking me, his chef's hands gentle. You're tough, man, he says, but his voice cracks. The fog's lifting, but the terror lingers, heavy as the lake. Rosa says the cops are coming, but it'll take time. Thunder Bay's remote, and Superior's roads are hell. We need to move, get to a hospital. Javier helps me to their van, every step agony. Rusty's a wreck, dented and tainted, no longer home. I glance at the pickup, its door open, and spot something. A map, like mine, with that faceless stick figure doodled on it. My blood chills. Was it a mark? A signal? I'll never know. Rosa drives, Javier watching the prisoners, and I'm in the back, clutching my notebook. The IDs in that bag haunt me. How many others didn't make it? My Vanlife dream shattered, replaced by this nightmare. The road to town's quiet. Lake Superior's waves a dull roar. Rosa's focused, Javier's tense, the tied-up guy's silent. I'm fading, pain blurring my edges, but I force my eyes open. The Whistler's staring at me from the van's floor, his grin gone, but his eyes burning. My heart skips. He's beaten, but not broken. I think of those trophies, the lives they took. My mistake wasn't just the lot. It was thinking I could outrun the dark. A mile from Thunder Bay, Rosa swears, slamming the brakes. Headlights flare behind us, fast and close. Another pickup, identical to the first. My stomach drops. They've got friends, and they're coming. The new pickup rams us, metal screaming, and the van fishtails. Rosa fights the wheel, but the road's wet, and we skid, crashing into a ditch. Pain explodes, my shoulder tearing open. I'm pinned, blood in my eyes. Javier shouts distant. Rosa's slumped, the gun gone. The Whistler's laughing, low and sick, as the new pickup's doors open. Footsteps approach, and a new voice, cold as Superior's depths, says, "Told you we'd find you." My mind flashes to my notebook, my last proof. I think of Claire, my parents, the freedom I chased. It led me here, to this tragedy, this end. My mistake was trusting the road, thinking I was safe. I try to move, but my body's done, blood pooling under me. The Whistler's free, his zip ties cut, and he's kneeling over me, that grin back. The new guys, 3 of them, faces hard, drag Javier out, his yells fading. Rosa's not moving, and I pray she's just out, not gone. The scarred guy's still tied, but he's laughing too, like this was the plan. My notebook's in my hand, pages wet with blood. I wanted adventure, not this horror, this grave. Ontario's wilderness closes in, the lake's waves mocking me. The Whistler leans close, whispering, "You should have stayed in Calgary." His knife flashes, and I'm fading, my story ending in Thunder Bay's cold, dark heart. There's no fight left. The new guys haul me to the pickup, my vision blackening. I see Rosa's sketches in my mind, those shadowed figures, like they predicted this. My notebook slips from my hand, lost in the ditch. Claire'll never know, Javier and Rosa won't make it, and my parents will mourn a son who chased freedom and found death. The Whistler's driving now, the lake's roar fading. I'm not coming back, not from this. Superior's secrets stay buried, and I'm one of them, my deadly mistake sealing my fate. The pickup's engine hums, carrying me deeper into the night, where no one will find me, and the horror wins. Wind howls outside, rattling the windows of my van, parked on a bluff overlooking Lake Huron. I'm Lila Bennett, 27 years old, from Edmonton, Alberta. My rig, a converted Dodge I call Wanderer, is my ticket to freedom, packed with a bed, solar lights, and a tiny fridge. Tonight, I'm in a remote pull-off near Kincardine, Ontario, chasing sunsets in solitude. The lake's waves churn below, dark and restless, and something about this spot feels heavy, like the air's holding a secret. I'm sipping chamomile tea, trying to calm my nerves, but the quiet's too deep, almost disturbing. My sketchpad's open, half-finished drawings of Huron's shores scattered across it. I doodle to relax, but my lines keep turning jagged, like my gut's trying to tell me something. I drove into Kincardine this morning, drawn by its lighthouse and small-town charm. The plan was to explore, maybe sketch the beach, but a local at the coffee shop warned me about rough types hanging around the back roads. I laughed it off, small-town gossip, right? Now, alone in Wanderer, I'm not so sure. My brother, Owen, texted earlier, checking in. He's 24, a mechanic, always worrying I'll break down somewhere sketchy. I promised to ping him my location, but my phone's at low battery and the signal's spotty. My friend Sadie's meeting me in a couple days, along with her boyfriend, Gabe. They're city folks, but they're game for camping. I could use their vibe right now. The pull-off seemed perfect in daylight, hidden by pines, with a killer view of Huron. Now, in the dark, it feels exposed, like I'm on display. I've parked in wild spots before. Yukon's tundra, coastal cliffs, but this one's got a creepy edge. Maybe it's the stories I read online about Huron's shipwrecks, boats vanishing in storms. Or that horror flick, The Fog, that freaked me out as a kid. I shake my head, sipping my tea, but it's gone cold, like the chill creeping into Wanderer. I check the locks, a habit Owen drilled into me, and tuck my pepper spray under the pillow. It's silly, but it helps me feel less alone. Sadie and I met at an Edmonton art gallery, bonding over bad wine and worse paintings. She's 29, loud, with a laugh that fills a room. Gabe's quieter, 31, a coder who's always glued to his laptop. They're driving up from Toronto, eager to unplug at Bruce Peninsula National Park. I'm stoked, but tonight, it's just me and the lake's endless growl. I think about Owen, probably wrenching on some car in his shop. He hates my van life gig, calls it asking for trouble. Maybe he's got a point, but I'd rather face trouble than a desk job. Still, I wish I'd told him exactly where I parked tonight. The bluff feels too far from help. A light flickers across the lake, faint, like a boat's signal. I squint, but it's gone, swallowed by the dark. Weird, but Huron's full of odd sights. Fishing boats, buoys, tricks of the light. I grab my sketch pad, trying to capture the lake's mood, but my pencil keeps sketching eyes, sharp and watching. I rip the page out, annoyed. My imagination's running wild, like when I was a kid scared of monsters in the basement. I laugh, but it's forced. There's a car parked down the bluff, an old SUV I noticed earlier. No one came to say hi, which isn't like van lifers. They're probably just sleeping, but I keep glancing at the window, half expecting a shadow. I climb into bed, pulling the quilt tight. Wanderer's cozy, but the wind's making her creak, each sound amplified. I think about that coffee shop local, his warning about rough types. He mentioned break-ins, maybe worse, but I was half listening, distracted by my latte. Now, it's nagging me, like a song stuck in your head. My pepper spray's close, and I've got a tire iron in the back, just in case. Owen's voice echoes. Always be ready, Lila. I roll my eyes, but I'm glad for his paranoia. The lake's waves sound closer, like they're climbing the bluff. I tell myself it's nothing, just nature being loud, but my heart's not convinced. The SUV's still out there, its shape barely visible through the pines. I noticed it when I pulled in, a dented hood, no plates, which struck me as odd. I figured they're locals, maybe campers, but now I'm wondering. Van lifers swap stories, share coffee, but these folks? Nothing. It's like they're avoiding me. My mind drifts to true crime podcasts, stories of drifters targeting lone travelers. I shake it off, but the unease sticks, sour and heavy. I grab my phone, hoping for a signal, but it's dead now, screen black. Great. I'm cut off, alone in Ontario's wild, with only my sketches and a bad feeling for company. A sound breaks the wind, a low thump, like something hitting the ground. My eyes snap open, breath catching. It's faint, but it's real, coming from the bluff's edge. I freeze, listening, but the wind swallows it. Just a branch, maybe, or an animal. Huron's full of wildlife, deer, foxes, but my gut says this is different. I think about Sadie, how she'd joke about Bigfoot to lighten the mood. I wish she were here, her laugh cutting the tension. Instead, I'm alone, clutching the pepper spray, my sketchpad forgotten. The thump doesn't repeat, but the silence that follows is worse, like the lake's holding its breath. I ease out of bed, heart thumping, and peek through the curtain. The SUV's lights are off, no movement, but the pines are swaying, shadows twisting. My mind's pulling from every scary movie I've ever seen. Blurry shapes, unseen threats. I tell myself I'm paranoid, that Kincardin's just a sleepy town. But that thump, the SUV, the locals' warning, they're piling up, making this feel all too real. I slide the tire iron closer, its weight grounding me, and settle back, eyes on the ceiling. Sleep's a pipe dream now, and I'm starting to think picking this bluff was a mistake I'll regret. Dawn breaks gray and heavy, Lake Huron's waves still churning below the bluff. I'm Lila Bennett, barely slept, my eyes burning from watching the shadows all night. That thump I heard, it's got me spooked, and now my phone's dead, no way to text Owen. I'm parked near Kincardin, Ontario, in Wanderer, and the vibe's all wrong. I make coffee, the kettles whistle sharp, like mornings back in Edmonton when I'd prep for a gallery show. But the routine's not helping. The SUV's still down the bluff, no plates, no movement. My gut says leave, but Sadie and Gabe are meeting me here tomorrow. Ditching now means scrambling plans with no signal. I sip my coffee, bitter as my mood, and try to figure out what's got me so rattled. I step outside, the air damp, pines dripping from last night's wind. The bluff's quiet, too quiet, like the lake's holding its breath. I check Wanderer's exterior, half expecting trouble. That's when I see it, a fresh scratch on the side, long and shallow, like someone dragged a key. My heart skips. It wasn't there yesterday, I'm sure. I think of Owen's stories about vandals in his shop's lot. Petty, but this feels personal, creepy. I scan the SUV, but it's still, windows dark. The locals' warning about rough types echoes, and I'm kicking myself for brushing it off. I should move to a campground, but I don't want to flake on Sadie. I decide to stay, but I'm locking everything tight. Back inside, I grab my map, a crumpled thing from the Kincardine coffee shop. It's got a weird note scribbled in the corner, "Watch the water," in smudged ink. Probably a prank, but it's unsettling, like finding a creepy post-it in your mailbox. I trace routes to Bruce Peninsula, where we're camping next. Staying put feels risky, but driving blind with a dead phone's worse. I think of Sadie, how she'd laugh and say, "Chill, it's just a scratch." She's fearless, but Gabe's cautious, always double-checking doors. I wish they were here. I decide to tidy Wanderer, keep busy, but my hands shake as I stack my sketch pads, their eerie-eyed drawings staring back. I'm wiping the counter when I hear a low hum, an engine, faint, from the road. My pulse spikes. I peek through the curtain, and the SUV's moving, slow, circling the pull-off before stopping closer. Maybe 30 yards now. Two figures inside, shadowed, don't get out. My skin crawls. It's like that time in Edmonton when a car tailed me home. Unnerving, but I shook it off. This is different, more deliberate. I grab my binoculars, a gift from Owen for stargazing, and focus on the SUV. One guy's bald, heavy set, the other's lean, with a hoodie pulled low. They're not looking my way, but they're not leaving either. This isn't random, they're watching. I sink low, heart hammering, and clutch the pepper spray. My mind's pulling from true crime shows, stalkers, creeps who target solo travelers. The scratch, the SUV, that note, it's piling up, making this feel like a horror flick. I think of the coffee shop local, his nervous glance when he mentioned break-ins. Was he trying to warn me? I decide to act normal, like I'm not spooked. I step outside, lock Wanderer, and walk toward the bluff's edge, pretending to sketch the lake. My hands shake as I draw, the pencil scratching loud. The SUV's engine idles, and I feel eyes on me, like needles. I force a hum, casual, but my throat's tight. Back in the van, I double-check the locks, my sketch pad abandoned. The SUV's still there, unmoving, like a predator waiting. I think of Gabe, how he'd probably have a satellite phone or some techie fix. I'm not that prepared. My mistake, picking this bluff without a backup plan. I grab my tire iron, sliding it under the bed, and tell myself I'm overreacting. But the hum's louder now, and I hear gravel crunch, like someone's walking. My breath catches. I peek out, and the bald guy's outside the SUV, staring at Wanderer. He's not moving, just standing, his bulk a threat. My stomach twists. This isn't paranoia, it's real, and it's getting scarier by the minute. I scribble in my sketch pad, not drawings but words. SUV, two guys, scratch, watching. It's dumb, but writing feels like control, like when I journal after a bad day. The day drags, Huron's waves a constant growl. I cook ramen, the steam fogging the windows, but every sound makes me jump. A twig snapping, the wind shifting. The SUV hasn't moved, but the lean guy's out now, pacing, a phone to his ear. He's gesturing, angry, and my mind screams they're planning something. I think of Owen, how he'd drive up, fists ready. But he's in Edmonton, and I'm alone, regretting every choice that led me here. Dusk settles, the lake a black void. The SUV's lights flick on, cutting the fog. I'm crouched in Wanderer, pepper spray in hand, heart pounding. The bald guy's back in the SUV, but the lean one's gone. Into the pines, maybe. My mind's racing, pulling from every horror story I know. Campers ambushed, travelers vanished. I think of that note, watch the water, and glance at Huron, its waves glinting like eyes. I should have left at dawn, signal or not. That's on me. I decide to stay one more night, but I'm sleeping with the tire iron. The air's thick, like the bluff's closing in, and I know something's coming, something bad. A new sound, a low scrape, like metal on rock, from the bluff's edge. My blood runs cold. It's not the wind, not an animal. It's deliberate, like someone's testing me. I grip the pepper spray, my other hand on the tire iron. The SUV's lights dim, and I hear a voice, muffled, from the pines. She's here, it says, sharp and cold. My heart stops. They're talking about me. The scrape comes again, closer, and I realize I'm not imagining this. Something's clearly wrong, and it's not just the lake making this night feel so damn disturbing. I'm in deep, and I don't know how to get out. That scrape on the bluff, metal on rock, echoes in my head, and I'm frozen, pepper spray clutched tight. I'm Lila Bennett, trapped in Wanderer, parked above Lake Huron in Kincardine, Ontario. The voice saying she's here wasn't my imagination. It's real, and it's close. The SUV's lights are dim, but I know those guys are out there, plotting. My heart's pounding, like when I got lost hiking in Jasper and heard a cougar scream. This is worse, though. Humans, not animals, and they're hunting me. I peek through the curtain, and my breath catches. The lean guy's in the pines, holding a flashlight, its beams sweeping slow. The bald guy's by the SUV, a crowbar in his hand. This isn't a prank, it's a horror show, and I'm the star. I kill Wanderer's interior light, plunging the van into darkness. My phone's dead, no way to call Owen or 911. I'm cut off, alone, with Lake Huron's waves mocking me. The flashlight beam swings closer, and I duck, heart in my throat. My mind's pulling from true crime, lonely roads, missing women, bodies never found. That scratch on Wanderer, the note, watch the water. It's all clicking, and it's terrifying. I think of Sadie, how she'd joke to keep me calm. But she's not here, and I'm shaking, the pepper spray feeling pathetic against a crowbar. I made a dumb move staying here, ignoring the signs, and now I'm cornered, the bluff a trap I walked into. A thud hits Wanderer's rear door, sharp and heavy. I bite my lip, stifling a scream, and grip the tire iron. It's not random, someone's testing the lock. I crawl to the driver's seat, keeping low, and peek out. The lean guy's beam is on the van now, steady, like he knows I'm inside. The bald guy's circling, crowbar dragging, a sick scraping sound. My pulse is deafening, like when I saw a car crash and froze, useless. I think of that coffee shop local, his nervous warning about rough types. Was he one of them? My stomach twists. I need a plan, but fear's got me stuck, like a deer in headlights, and the terror's swallowing me whole. I check the glove box, hoping for something. A flare, anything. Nothing but maps and gum. My sketch pad's on the bed, pages of eyes staring like they're judging me. I shove it under the mattress, like hiding it matters. The beam stops moving, and I hear a whisper, muffled, but close. She's gotta be in there, the lean guy says, voice low. My blood runs cold. They're sure I'm here, and they're not leaving. I think of Owen, his mechanic's hands always fixing things. He can't fix this. I curse myself for picking this bluff, for thinking I could handle anything. The scraping comes again, slower, like they're toying with me, and it's beyond disturbing. A new sound, a creak, above me on Wanderer's roof. My heart stops. Someone's up there, maybe the bald guy, his weight shifting the van. I'm boxed in, lean guy at the door, bald guy above. My mind screams to run, but the bluff's a dead end. Huron's waves a drop below. I think of Gabe, how he'd probably have a tech trick to get out. I've got nothing but pepper spray and a tire iron, and it's not enough. I scribble in my sketch pad, shaky words. 2 guys, SUV, crowbar, trapped. It's pointless, but it's proof, like my art's my last stand. The creek shifts, and I know they're moving, ready to strike. The lean guy's flashlight beam cuts through the curtain's edge, blinding. I flinch, dropping the pepper spray, and it rolls under the bed. I curse, fumbling for it, my hands useless. Come on out, sweetheart, the bald guy calls, his voice thick, like he's enjoying this. My skin crawls. It's like every horror movie where the girl's too dumb to run, but I'm not dumb, just trapped. I think of Sadie's laugh, how it'd light up a room. I need that now, but I'm alone, and the fear's choking me. The beam moves, and I hear a click, the rear door's lock being tested. They're not waiting anymore, and I'm out of time. I grab the tire iron, its weight heavy but comforting. My only shot's to fight or hide, but hiding's failing. The creak above stops, and I hear boots hit the ground, bald guy's down, joining his buddy. My mind's racing, pulling from stories of survivors, people who fought back. I'm no fighter, just an artist who wanted freedom. Now I'm in Ontario's dark, with bad people closing in. I think of my parents, how they'll never know what happened, and Owen, who'll blame himself. My mistake was this bluff, trusting the quiet. A loud bang hits the door, metal groaning, and I know they're breaking in. The lean guy laughs, a sharp, ugly sound. Got her now, he says, and the crowbar slams again, the lock buckling. My breath shallow, panic clawing me. I think of that note, watch the water, and glance at Huron, its waves glinting like they're in on this. I should have left, driven to town, anything but stay. The tire iron's my only weapon, and I grip it, ready to swing. The flashlight beam dances, and I hear them whispering, planning. My sketch pad's under the bed, my story buried with it. The door groans, bending, and I know it's seconds from giving. Something's clearly wrong, and it's coming for me. A new noise, a low hum, like an engine from the road. My heart leaps. Sadie and Gabe? No, too soon. It's another vehicle, headlights flickering through the pines. The banging stops, and the lean guy swears, his beams swinging away. Who's that? The bald guy snaps, voice tense. I risk a peek. The SUV's lights are on, and they're moving toward it fast. The new headlights are closer, a truck maybe, slowing at the pull-off. My chest tightens. Friend or foe? I'm not sure, but the pause gives me a second to breathe. The terror's still here, thick and heavy, and I know this isn't over. Whatever's happening, I'm still in deep, and the night's about to get worse. The new headlights freeze the lean guy and his bald buddy, their shadows darting toward the SUV. I'm Lila Bennett, gripping the tire iron and Wanderer, heart slamming. That truck's hum is my only brake, but I don't trust it. Kincardin's dark feels alive, like Lake Huron's waves are cheering the chaos. I jam the keys into the ignition, praying Wanderer starts. The engine sputters, then roars, and I slam the gas, tires spitting gravel. The SUV's lights flare, but I'm already peeling out, the bluff's pines blurring. A shout, bald guy, maybe, chases me, but I'm not stopping. My headlights cut the fog, the road a lifeline. This is life or death, and I'm running from a horror that's all too real. Ontario's night snapping at my heels. The road twists, Huron's cliffs looming left, open fields right. My hands shake, the tire iron sliding on the seat. The SUV's behind me, its lights growing, fast and mean. My mind's screaming. Those guys, the crowbar, the whispered she's here. I think of Owen, how he'd tell me to floor it. Wanderer's engine whines, pushing hard, but she's old, and the SUV's gaining. I flash to news stories. Travelers ambushed on back roads, gone without a trace. The fog's thick, swallowing signs, and I'm driving blind, like that time I got caught in a whiteout in Alberta. A sign flashes, Kincardin, 8 kilometers. If I make it, I'm safe. Maybe. The SUV rams my bumper, a bone-rattling crunch. I scream, swerving, Wanderer fishtailing on the slick road. My sketchpad flies, pages scattering like ghosts. The lean guy's leaning out, swinging something, a chain, glinting in my mirrors. My heart's in my throat, like when I saw a bear too close on a trail. This is worse, human and cruel. I weave, dodging another hit, but the SUV's relentless, its horn a sick laugh. I grab the pepper spray, useless now, and chuck it aside. Kincardin's close, but the road narrows, and I'm running out of moves. The bald guy's driving. I think, his bulk a shadow in the glare. They want me off this road, and they're not stopping. A turnoff looms, a dirt track toward the lake. It's a bad call, but staying here means getting rammed again. I jerk the wheel, Wanderer bouncing onto the track, branches clawing the sides. The SUV follows, but it's heavier, struggling in the mud. My headlights catch a fence, old, rusted, maybe a farm. I aim for it, hoping for cover, but the track's a mess, rocks banging underneath. The SUV's lights dim, then flare, they're still coming. I think of Sadie, Gabe, how they'll find an empty bluff. My pepper spray's gone, tire iron's all I've got. The fog's thicker here, like Huron's breathing down my neck, and the terror's choking me. The track ends at a clearing, abandoned barns looming like skeletons. I swerve behind one, killing the engine, plunging everything into dark. My breath's loud, ragged, as I grab the tire iron and crouch low. The SUV's engine growls, slowing, its lights sweeping the clearing. I'm shaking, thinking of Owen's knife lessons. Aim for the soft spots, he'd say. But against 2 guys? I'm no fighter. The lean guy's voice cuts through. She's here somewhere. My blood freezes. They're hunting me, like I'm game. I think of my sketchpad, its eerie eyes, left in Wanderer. If I die, will anyone find it? The fog's my shield, but it's theirs too. I slip out the side door, keeping low, and crawl toward the barn. The SUV stops, doors slamming. Footsteps crunch, deliberate, splitting up. The bald guy's crowbar drags, a sick scrape, like he's taunting me. I'm behind a rusted tractor, tire iron heavy, my shoulder aching from gripping it. Huron's waves roar nearby, a cliff drop I can't see. I think of Sadie's laugh, how it had cut this fear. But she's not here, and I'm alone, the horror closing in. The lean guy's flashlight beam swings, grazing the tractor, and I hold my breath, heart hammering. My mistake was staying, and now I'm running, but there's nowhere left to go. The beam misses me, but the bald guy's close, his boots squelching in mud. "Come out, girl," he growls, and my skin crawls. It's like every creepy guy who ever catcalled me, but worse, deadly. I shift, slow, toward the barn's door, hoping for a hiding spot. The wood's rotted, creaking under my touch, and I freeze, praying they didn't hear. The lean guy's whistling now, sharp and mocking, like a signal. My mind's pulling from horror flicks. Victims cornered, no way out. I'm not a victim, not yet. I grip the tire iron, ready to swing, but my hands shake, betraying me. The flashlight beam swings back, and I know I'm seconds from being spotted. I dive into the barn, the air thick with mildew and dust. My eyes adjust, catching shapes. Old tools, hay bales, a ladder to a loft. I scramble up, the rungs groaning, and huddle in the dark, tire iron clutched. The SUV's headlights flood the barn's entrance, and I see them. Bald guy, crowbar raised, lean guy with a chain. They're systematic, like they've done this before. My heart's screaming, thinking of Huron's shipwrecks, lives lost to the lake. Did they end like this, hunted? The bald guy steps inside, his shadow huge, and I bite my lip, tasting blood. I'm trapped, Ontario's night a cage, and the terror's so thick I can't breathe. The lean guy's whistle stops, and I hear him climb the ladder, slow, deliberate. My chest tightens, he knows I'm here. The bald guy's outside, circling, his crowbar tapping the barn like a countdown. I'm cornered, no way down, the loft a dead end. My mind flashes to my parents. Owen, the art I'll never finish. I should have left, trusted my gut, but I stayed, and now it's life or death. The lean guy's head appears, his chain glinting, and I swing the tire iron, desperate. It connects, a sick crunch, and he falls, yelling. The bald guy roars, charging in, and I know I've only bought seconds. I'm still trapped, and the horror's coming for me. The lean guy's down, clutching his face, blood seeping through his fingers. I'm Lila Bennett, in the barn's loft, tire iron slick with sweat, but the bald guy's charging, crowbar raised. Kincardin's fog wraps the barn. Lake Huron's waves a cruel soundtrack. My heart's pounding, my swing a desperate fluke. I scramble back, the loft's edge crumbling, a drop to the ground below. The bald guy's eyes burn, promising pain. I think of Owen, his voice. Fight, Lila. But I'm no fighter, just an artist cornered in Ontario's dark. Headlights flare outside. New, bright, a van's horn blaring. Sadie and Gabe? It's them, it has to be. Hope sparks, but it's thin, the horror too thick. The bald guy hesitates, glancing out, and I seize the chance, lunging for the ladder. I slide down, rungs biting my hands, and hit the ground, knees buckling. The bald guy's after me, his crowbar whistling past my head. I scream, dodging, and sprint for the barn's door. Sadie's van skids into the clearing, Gabe leaping out, a flashlight in hand. Lila, he yells, and Sadie's behind, holding, what a bat. The lean guy's up, staggering, chain dragging. My chest heaves, relief mixing with terror. The bald guy lunges, but Gabe swings the flashlight, cracking his arm. The crowbar drops, and I grab it, my hands shaking. We're not alone anymore, but the lean guy's coming, and the SUV's engine revs, like they're not done. This isn't over, not by a long shot. Sadie pulls me behind the van, her bat raised, eyes fierce. Stay with me, she says, and I nod, gasping. Gabe's wrestling the bald guy, who's cursing, blood on his sleeve. The lean guy's slower, his face a mess from my hit, but he's swinging the chain, wild. I clutch the crowbar, my shoulders screaming from the climb. My mind flashes to my sketch pad, its scattered pages in Wanderer, my story lost. The SUV circles, headlights blinding, and I realize they've got backup, another figure in the driver's seat. My stomach drops. We're outnumbered, and Huron's cliffs feel like a grave waiting. Sadie swings her bat, keeping the lean guy back, but we're on borrowed time. Gabe zip ties the bald guy's wrists, his coater's hands steady. We need to go, he says, voice tight. Sadie's on her phone, calling 911, but the signal's weak, cutting out. I point to the SUV, the new shadow inside. There's more, I croak, and Gabe swears, grabbing a wrench from the van. The lean guy charges, chain whipping, and Sadie swings, catching his knee. He drops, howling, but the SUV's moving, aiming for us. My heart stops. This is a coordinated hit, like the shipwreck's Huron hides, planned and deadly. I think of that note, watch the water, and wonder if it was a trap, luring me here. We're fighting, but it's not enough. We pile into Sadie's van, Gabe flooring it, the SUV chasing. The bald guy's tied in the back, groaning, the lean guy left behind. My crowbar's on my lap, blood smeared, a grim trophy. Wanderers abandoned, my home tainted by this nightmare. Sadie's cursing, weaving through fog, Huron's waves roaring like they're laughing. I think of Owen, how he'll lose it when he hears. My mistake was the bluff, ignoring the scratch, the locals' warning. I should have run, but I stayed, chasing freedom, and found this horror instead. Gabe checks the mirror, the SUV's lights closer, and I know we're not out yet. Kincardin's near, but so's the danger. The road's slick, the van sliding on curves. Sadie's phone dies, no cops coming. The SUV rams us, metal screaming, and I brace, the crowbar digging into my thigh. Gabe swerves, keeping us on, but the SUV's relentless, its driver a shadow with no face. My mind's pulling from every true crime story. Gangs, hunters, predators who don't stop. The bald guy laughs, low, like he knows something. "You're done," he mutters, and my blood chills. I think of my parents, Sadie's laugh, the art I'll never make. We're close to town, lights flickering ahead, but the SUV's bumper kisses ours again, and I feel the end coming, cold and final. A sharp turn appears, and Gabe takes it, too fast. The van skids, tires screaming, and we roll, glass shattering, metal twisting. Pain slams me, hot and blinding, my head cracking the window. I'm pinned, blood in my mouth, the crowbar gone. Sadie's slumped, Gabe's not moving, the bald guy's laugh echoing. The SUV stops, doors opening, and new footsteps crunch. 3, maybe 4. My vision blurs, but I see them, shadowed, one holding a knife. My heart sinks. My mistake wasn't just the bluff. It was thinking I could outrun Ontario's dark. The bald guy's free, standing over me, his crowbar back. "Told you," he says, and the knife guy steps closer, Huron's waves swallowing my scream. I try to move, but my body's broken, blood pooling. The knife guy's face is blank, like the note's faceless figure, a nightmare come real. Sadie's hand twitches, but she's out, maybe gone. Gabe's silent, the van a wreck. My sketchpad somewhere in Wanderer, my story lost, like Huron's shipwrecks. I think of Owen, my parents, the freedom I chased. It led me here, to this tragedy, this end. The bald guy raises the crowbar, and I want to fight, to live, but I'm fading. The knife guy kneels, his blade cold on my skin, and I know it's over. Ontario's night claims me, the horror winning, my deadly mistake sealing my fate. There's no escape. The new guys drag me from the wreck, my vision blackening. The bald guy's laugh is the last thing I hear, mixing with Huron's waves. My sketchpad, my art, my life, all gone, buried in Kincardin's fog. Owen will search, Sadie's family will grieve, but I'm another ghost in the lake story. The SUV's engine starts, carrying me away, deeper into the dark. I should have listened, left, trusted the signs. Instead, I stayed, and now I'm nothing, a name lost to Ontario's wilderness. The horror's complete, and I'm its final piece, fading as the waves roar on, indifferent and eternal.